Also, there'll be no food or drink allowed in this room. If you have any questions, please raise your hand and we'll kindly assist you. Thank you very much for your kind cooperation.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Ben Fornas, Alex Morano, Claudia Morano, Nina Sabkir. We ask everybody to please adhere to the 2-minute limit. You can get started.
Good afternoon, Chair Brooks Powers and members of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. My name is Ben Furness. I'm the Executive Director of Transportation Alternatives, an organization of thousands of New Yorkers who fight for safe, livable, and accessible streets across all 5 boroughs. We strongly support Intro 1138 and universal daylighting in New York City. Imagine you're driving down a street and you come to an intersection. Can you see whether a pedestrian is about to step out in front of you? Or is your view blocked by cars parked right next to the crosswalk? Usually, and in too many places, it's the latter. This lack of visibility can quickly turn deadly. It's especially dangerous for children, like my 2 daughters who are 2 and 5, because the smallest pedestrians are even more difficult to see behind parked cars. There is a solution: universal daylighting. Repurposing the parking spots closest to an intersection makes it easier to see for everyone, regardless of whether you're driving a car, riding a bike, or crossing the street. Universal hardened daylighting can reduce pedestrian injuries by up to 70%. This bill will save lives in every council district and in every neighborhood. You heard the Department of Transportation say that this bill may make our city more unsafe, but this goes against both experts in the field and other cities who have already done it. The National Association of City Transportation Officials, the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, and the Federal Highway Administration officially recommend daylighting. Just across the Hudson River in Hoboken, and we heard from Mayor Bala earlier today, every intersection has daylighting, and they've gone over 8 years without a single traffic fatality. In San Francisco, daylighting has led to a 14% reduction in crashes. Real-world conditions and experts agree daylighting works and it saves lives. DOT's own study supports daylighting with even modest physical infrastructure, something we all agree is ideal, and we'd be excited to work with DOT and City Council to bring hardened daylighting to every intersection in New York City. No city has improved pedestrian infrastructure or safety by blocking visibility at intersections. Universal daylighting will do the impossible and make our neighborhoods bigger overnight. With newfound space on our streets, we can have more shade, cleaner air, or more seating. Folks, your constituents can enjoy a place to wait for the bus or greenery to absorb rainwater and prevent flooding. This bill will make our cities better and safer and more pleasant, and we urge you to support Intro 1138, and thank you for this opportunity to testify and for your support on this.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Morano, volunteer co-chair of Transportation Alternatives Brooklyn Activist Committee, continuing our group's official testimony in support of Intro 1138. Before I do that, I'll just note that I'm joined here by my sister and my brother, who's also in the room. We have 2 parents who are older New Yorkers, and now, a 3-year-old nephew. So for these vulnerable populations, street safety is an incredibly important issue. That's why we're all here. Doing work to make streets safer in our communities, we hear regularly from our neighbors that there are few safety treatments that make people feel safer than a daylit intersection because it lets them see. But the benefits of universal daylighting are not just limited to improving street safety. Universal daylighting also provides an immediate, scalable way to add new amenities in every neighborhood. Universal daylighting would reclaim 2,200 acres of public space along the curb, which is equivalent to nearly 3 Central Parks of additional public space. This reclaimed curb space would allow communities to create new amenities, including green space with benches, bus shelters, secure bike parking, and rain gardens. Rain gardens, especially, help manage localized flooding, and reduce combined sewer overflow. And all additional green spaces would provide numerous co-benefits, including improving air quality, providing shade and beauty, and reducing the urban heat island effect. With universal daylighting, we can scale green infrastructure quickly because the space is already set aside on our streets for this infrastructure. This is especially important right now, a time when the climate crisis is as real as ever. More and more New Yorkers face extreme climate events like sweltering heat, devastating flooding, and this most acutely affects the more vulnerable New Yorkers. We need to take local action to build climate resilience, to mitigate flooding, help keep our neighborhoods cool, and keep the air clean. And all of this is possible with universal daylighting. All of this is why our activist committee urges the City Council to pass Intro 1138 without delay. Thank you.
Hi. I haven't prepared anything in advance, so I don't think this will be as eloquent as most other people who have spoken, but I'm a lifelong New Yorker. Multiple generations of my family have lived here, and I live on Staten Island. I have a car. I drive it into Brooklyn to see my family and my partner all the time, and I am fully for Intro 1138. Like, it's not that big of a deal for someone with a car. It's still gonna be days where it's kind of hard to find parking, days where it's easy to find parking. That's a crazy reason to be against Intro 1138 when it comes to life and death. Yeah, and I'm a runner, I'm a pedestrian, I'm in multiple boroughs all the time, and I think this is a really easy decision for the safety of the city, especially when most New Yorkers are not car owners. Like it supports most of the city to make being a pedestrian safer, but also as someone with a car, parking it on the street all the time, it's not a big deal, and it needs to pass. And parking is not a good reason to not pass it. That's crazy. Yeah, thank you. This is my first time in this building. It's really pretty.
Congrats. Thank you. Thanks for joining us for your first time.
Good afternoon. My name's Nina Sabgir, and I am unfortunately a member of Families for Safe Streets. And I have a son who was also hit by a car. I'm a registered nurse and nurse practitioner, still in practice well into my 70s. I'm also legally handicapped. I do drive as well as walking and bicycling when I'm able to walk. I live on a one-way street that opens into a two-way street. There is no traffic calming whatsoever on this street. Cars park right up to the corner. Visibility is terrible. And time and again, we have asked the DOT to please put in traffic calming measures, other measures that would make that corridor, that 5-block corridor in Brooklyn, safer, as I see people struggling to get their cars out into the two-way street. I see families with young children. There's a senior center right on the corner, and everybody is struggling to get across safely because there's no daylighting, there's no visibility, there's no traffic calming whatsoever. It's typical of the DOT to abdicate their responsibility with the claim that, well, nobody's gotten killed yet. I ask you, would you like to volunteer your child or your spouse or your mother or your father or even yourself to be the first one? And why do we have to wait for that to be the marker for whether something should be done to make our streets safer? To claim that daylighting will not make things safer, again, another abdication of responsibility, another unwillingness to move. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the panel. The next panel we will hear from is Bill Bruna. Okay, Sorry. And your penmanship is actually really nice. I'm sorry. Kathy Park Price, Teresa Benin, Philip Leff. Just ask everyone in here to the 2-minute rule, and you can start when you are ready.
Thanks, and apologies about the handwriting. My name is, greetings, Madam Chair and council members. My name is Bill Bruno. I'm a Jackson Heights resident. I'm here to testify in favor of Intro 1138, which would institute life-saving daylighting at all intersections with the crosswalk. As we know, cars and SUVs and trucks at those intersections pose a risk because they block the line of sight. And it's gotten worse over the last few years. We all know they've gotten taller. The hoods have gotten taller. They're all bigger. And that's made the problem worse. That's why half of all crashes take place at intersections, restoring the line of sight so you can see what's coming and you can see what you're going towards, an important safety measure. What's particularly good about this bill is the minimum of 1,000 intersections a year that have to be hardened. And remember, it is a floor, not a ceiling, so we should think in terms of 1,000 plus. What I want to emphasize is their interrelation, that soft daylighting enhances hard daylighting. We all know what the pushback that can happen whenever you repurpose parking spaces or anything else. And if you simply have the hard daylighting, it's going to proceed at a snail's pace. If they have to fight against every parking space. Soft daylighting, by ripping that bandage off, not only enhances the safety from the line of sight, but it expedites the goal of the hard daylighting, reaching 1,000 intersections. Quickly addressing the one-size-fits-all argument, a Chevy Suburban blocks your line of sight just as much in Staten Island as in Jackson Heights. Not being able to see what's coming puts you at greater danger. The thing that causes the problem is universal and consistent throughout the city. Logically, the solution should also be universal and consistent. So I support 1138, and thanks for hearing me out.
My name is Teresa Bainin. I'm a 15-year Brooklyn resident, former public school teacher, and current healthcare educator. I'm testifying in support of Intro 1138, universal daylighting, because I don't want to be afraid to cross the street. I follow the basic safety rules, crosswalks, walk signals, always look both ways, never text and walk, and always look where you're going. But that's not enough. I also have to look back over my shoulder for the cars rushing to take a left or right turn from the parallel street. And you know what? It's difficult to do that at the same time I'm looking where I'm going and both ways. Still, I'm at the mercy of a driver's ability to see me and to stop for me. That's because of the fight or flight response. When faced with danger, your body reacts involuntarily in some pre-programmed way, usually fight or flight. I know which way I respond to danger because several times in New York City, while crossing the street legally, in the crosswalk, while looking both ways and ahead and even over my shoulder, at the same time I see a car coming at me too fast to be sure they see me and are going to stop. So when I've had 2 tons of metal hurtling towards me, it turns out my body does that third thing that begins with F. I freeze. I thought I'd be a fighter. I'd just jump on the hood like an action hero, or dodging out of the way would be even better. I think of myself as brave and strong, but I am no match for a car. So even following all my safety rules as I cross the street, my life is still in the hands of drivers, and I need to know the driver will be able to see me before the last second, that I won't be in the blind spot caused by a parked car while they're focused on the other cars on the road. Crossing the street shouldn't feel like a daily gamble with my life. I shouldn't need the reflexes of an action hero to survive someone else's mistake. And I don't want to be that first fatality that puts an intersection on the DOT's radar to maybe consider possibly targeted daylighting in the future. I support Intro 1138 to help drivers see us before it's too late. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kathy Park Price. I'm a Brooklyn parent of 2 kids, ages 13 and 11, who, like most middle schoolers in New York City, navigate the streets on their own. They walk to school, to the library, to the park, to friends' homes, and they cross intersections where the majority of crashes occur. Every day, every day. And as a mom, I carry the constant fear that a driver won't see them in time. I'm here in strong support of Intro 1138, which would require universal daylighting and ensure that cars no longer park in daylit zones. Daylighting is a simple and proven design treatment that helps New York City kids and all of us safe at crosswalks. As the Brooklyn organizer for Transportation Alternatives, I work with families across the borough who are tired of dangerous intersections being treated as inevitable. We know what works. Clear sight lines save lives. In New York City, motor vehicle-related injuries are the leading cause of injury-related death among children 1 to 12. That means walking, something we want our kids to feel safe doing, is the most dangerous thing they do every day. And let's be clear, looking both ways doesn't help when you're already walking with the light in the crosswalk and a turning driver doesn't see you. Universal daylighting is low cost, effective, and urgent. It gives drivers a better view and gives pedestrians, especially children, a fighting chance. Let's not wait for another preventable tragedy. Let's show that New York City chooses kids over cars. Please pass Intro 1138.
Good afternoon to the members of the City Council and those attending. It's obvious we should make it more difficult to shoot children. There's no debate. We should make it more difficult to poison children. That's also obvious. There's no debate. But here today in the City Council, we are engaging in a debate about whether we should make it more difficult for people to run children over with their cars. I'm Philip Leff, a lifelong New Yorker, currently a Queens dad. I'm testifying in support of Intro 1138 because I don't want my child, myself, or anyone else to get hit by a car while crossing the street. It's a matter of common sense that clearing intersections of parked cars will improve visibility for drivers and pedestrians alike. More time and space to see, especially little ones, and more time to slow down and react. It's also a New York State law, that's Law 1202, that you can't park within 20 feet of an intersection. But some people who made laws in New York City value a parking space more than the lives of their neighbors. And unfortunately, some of the testimony we heard today, that still continues. With the passage of Intro 1138, we can undo the grave moral mistakes of the past and build a city that is safer for everyone who crosses the street. Let's resolve our debate with the obvious answer. Thank you to Councilmember Wan for introducing this life-saving legislation, Chair Brooks Powers for holding this hearing, and to the co-sponsors of Intro 1138 for supporting a safer city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next panel, we have Sabina Sethi Uni, Stephen Black, Rue Tracy Hindu, and Christopher Leon Johnson.
Thanks, Albina. Thank you. Thanks for getting me up here early. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, let me go. Oh, so I'll just go first. I might as well. Can I go? Let females go first. Ladies first.
Oh, wait, we're missing someone. Hold on. Are you Sabina? Yes. Okay. Tracy's missing, so let me call someone else up. Saskia Hagen? Okay, we can get started. Please adhere to the 2-minute rule.
Thank you. My name is Sabina Sethi Uni, and I work as a planner at Open Plans, providing technical assistance and outreach support to 28 schools and community organizations across the city who all struggle with traffic congestion and accidents at arrival and dismissal. Due to this work, I am testifying in enthusiastic support of Intro 1138. If you're a parent or a caretaker or just live near a school, you know all too well what 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. looks like outside of school buildings. It's hectic with cars, honking, school buses, swarms of kids, cut-through traffic, trucks backing up without loading zones, construction, and more. It's not just hectic. Research on New York City's most deadliest streets has found that the streets outside of schools during pickup and drop-off are deadliest for pedestrians. This is even worse at public schools and in schools in low-income neighborhoods of color. Much of my job is helping schools find solutions to their traffic crashes in service of making children safe. The Department of Transportation offers many options, including an open street program, but these solutions often rely on schools having adequate staffing support and funding to keep the program going. When I talk to countless parents, caretakers, and administrators in neighborhoods across the city, everywhere from College Point, Queens to Tremont in the Bronx, one of the biggest needs that I hear is short-term permanent infrastructure solutions to keep students safe. Daylighting does just that and makes students at crosswalks more visible to drivers, reducing the chance of collisions at intersections. I'm testifying in proud support of Intro 1138 because we need daylighting in front of all of our schools, not just the ones who know how to ask for it. Thank you.
Ladies first.
I can just go. Hi, my name's Stephen Black. I'm a resident of Park Slope, Brooklyn. I don't really have a written up response. This is more just, it seems like a very sensible policy, and sometimes you just got to show up for very sensible policies, especially when you see the level of pushback that's been sort of going on here. Like the DOT will bring up, when they're comparing unfavorably Nassau County to New York, well, daylighting is the same there, but when it's Hoboken, well, Hoboken has a series of complex, economic and historical factors. It doesn't really make any sense when, you think about it, but it just seems like a completely sensical solution. It seems incredibly easy. All of the statements against it today have seemed very thin. I mean, we've gotten maybe it doesn't work if you don't daylight it, even though the bill has hardening built into it. We've gotten it reduces traffic, even though it will save lives, it reduces parking spots, even though it will save lives. None of these things really make any sort of sense to me or any, as a reason not to do this, especially when we've seen such widespread success, not only in places like Hoboken, but across the country in places like San Francisco. It seems like such an obvious and easy win just, in order to save lives generally. And so that's basically all I had to say.
Thank you, Chair Brooks Powers, and thank you, Councilmember Wan, for your leadership on daylighting. My name is Saskia Hagens, and I'm speaking in support of Intro 1138. I live in Prospect Heights in Brooklyn, and I work in Manhattan, and I get around the city primarily walking and biking. New York City streets are not safe. The statistics on traffic injuries and fatalities are horrifying. It doesn't have to be this way. There are many tried and tested treatments to make our streets safer. Daylighting is one of them, despite what DOT claims. It happens to be the law in the rest of the state, and I have to wonder why we do not deserve the same. Given that most crashes happen at intersections, given that daylighting is a proven effective method, and given that no one should run the risk of getting injured or killed while trying to cross the street, this should be a no-brainer. Another important reason to support universal daylighting, especially the universal aspect of it, is that all New Yorkers deserve safer streets. Right now, getting street improvement projects done in the city is an excruciatingly slow and frustrating process. We literally have to fight for every single corner, with projects often drawn out for years, slowed down by endless rounds of input, where vocal opponents get to the real life-saving interventions. This, when we know that these types of treatments are incredibly effective and popular. I was involved with just such a project on Underhill Avenue where I live, probably the most surveyed street improvement project in the history of the city. But every single time the community was asked, well over 80% of people said they support treatments, including curb extensions and repurposing the space for bike parking and greenery. Turns out that people actually like safe streets. So here is your chance to greatly speed up street safety projects across the board, to not have to argue endlessly about every single intersection, and to implement a popular and proven method citywide to make the streets safer for all. Please pass Intro 1138. Thank you.
Hello, Chair Powers. My name is Christopher Leon Johnson. I'm speaking on support for Julian Yuan's bill, Intro 1138, but to be on the record, I used to be a member of Brooklyn Community Board 8, so at the same time, I know my community board approved this notion for your bill, but I can't speak on behalf of them because I'm no longer a member. I got kicked off the board for crazy reason. The reason we need this bill to be passed in the city council by you and the chair, Mrs. Brooks Powers, is because we got to protect the deliveristas. We need to do this in honor of Kamari Hughes that passed away in Crystal Hudson's district, Bridgeport district, Forest district. Rest in peace to Kamari Hughes. We need to pass a bill in honor of that kid. I believe he would have been alive right now if we had these things in place. I saw the layout, what they did in 2 years ago in 23. That was a bad layout. I believe that with daylighting, you need to put steel bollards instead of plastic bollards. Instead, steel bollards, plastic bollards. I saw a few of the bricks at the NYPD statues on Hillside in Williams District. But if you put that in place, maybe this stuff will stop. You need to put this in place. Plastic bottles won't do anything. I believe it's a waste of money. You could easily rip them out and put your car there if you want to. Those stuff is a waste of money. You have to put the right infrastructure into it. And about the car situation, that type of the bill when it comes to putting 20 feet from an intersection, I don't think that's reasonable because the average car length is about 6 feet. I'm 5'7". The average car length of a car is 6 feet. So that's not gonna really work because if it's 20 feet and you don't put a bollard there, like a real steel bollard, anybody could park their car over there. So I'm saying this right now. I got 15 seconds. We need to pass this bill, but they need to go back to the drawing board with the car length notion because I believe that this bill might get vetoed by the mayor because of the car notion. Other than that, I support daylighting, guys, but when it comes to the car thing, I believe that the mayor might veto this bill. So he might veto it because of that part in place. You might have to amend Thank you for letting me on. You might have to amend that bill, just eliminate that part and say at least 30 feet. I mean, not 30, but at least like 15 feet or 10 feet, or 8 feet. Other than that, he might just veto this bill. I support it, but I have a big feeling that he's gonna veto it. Even if you put it to the end of the year, guys, he's gonna straight out veto this bill based on the first aspect of the bill alone. I support daylighting. I support 100%, but I know I gotta go, but this mayor will veto this bill because of the car. So you guys have to amend that, please. Thank you. Enjoy your day, guys. Love you.
Thank you to the panel. The next panel we'll hear from Jason Fromowitz, Emmeline Lackrout, Casey Kuntz, or is it Curris, maybe? Paul Benson. You could begin whenever you're ready. Just come off of mute, and we ask that you adhere to the 2-minute rule.
Is it me first?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Oop. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Emmeline Lakraut. I am a New York City resident. I live on the Upper East Side. I am also blind. I'm here in favor of Intro 1138. I think we've heard significant testimony about the benefits for visibility, especially myself as a blind person. I listen to traffic, and when there are vehicles, it makes it extremely difficult to listen to traffic. Every time I step into the road, I know that I am taking my life into my hands, and I just hope I make it to the other side. Barring that, though, the importance of hardened daylighting is to prevent vehicles from parking in the crosswalk. The number of times I have run face first into a delivery vehicle in the crosswalk, extremely unpleasant. My cane goes right underneath cars. And so it is extremely important that we have structural elements to prevent vehicles from being in the crosswalk. It's also important that when hardened daylighting systems are built, that they're built in a way that clears the crosswalk. I've seen some boulders placed literally inside of them. Again, as a blind person, my hope is that I have that 5 to 6 foot width of clear space to move forward. So again, I highly encourage passing of 1138 to support our citizens with visual impairments and the disabled population at large. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jason Fromwitz. I am speaking on behalf of Manhattan Community Board 6, which I am also the chair of its transportation committee. Manhattan Community Board 6 joins many other community boards in supporting universal daylighting, and this is extremely notable because community boards are not generally known for advocating to remove parking. CB6 is deeply concerned with traffic fatalities within our district and citywide, and we hope that New York City will join the rest of New York State in prohibiting parking within 20 feet of intersections. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Casey Coons. I'm a resident of the Upper West Side. I'm here to testify in support of Intro 1138. I think our streets are dangerous enough with cars speeding, running through reds, or taking stop signs as more of a suggestion. And it's only made worse when we can't look out into the street and see what's coming. Every day in my neighborhood, I see my neighbors with young children pushing strollers, my other neighbors who use walkers or wheelchairs having to try to look around vehicles as best they can to make sure they can cross safely. And I think universal daylighting will make it much easier for us to move through our communities in a safer way. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Paul Benson. I live in Brooklyn, New York. I'm here to speak in favor of 1138 on daylighting. I am an Emmy Award-winning designer. I teach at Parsons School of Design this semester on innovation. I'm most proud of my volunteer work in North Brooklyn, helping to make streets safer for all, especially those most vulnerable to unsafe streets. When Barry Open Street in Williamsburg was redesigned, daylighting dramatically reduced injuries for all, drivers, pedestrians, cyclists alike. I won't talk about the huge effort required over years by hundreds of unpaid volunteers to daylight just 20 intersections, and mostly convincing the Department of Transportation that our community wanted the redesign. I want to talk about innovation in general. In innovation at Parsons, we talk about how the US used to lead the world in our ability to innovate. Quickly, for little money, with scrappy resources we had. We went to the moon, Model T Ford, I'm talking the light bulb, all the good things. In India, they called it Jugaad innovation. My students tell me in Brazil they have the same thing. My grandpa calls it tinkering in his garage. But now, you can see and hear from the Department of Transportation earlier, we're bogged down by processes, formalities, and institutional stagnation. We have a problem, clearly. The leading cause of death for children in New York City under 14 is being hit by a vehicle. We have a solution, daylighting. It works, it saves lives. What's standing in our way? You can see it. The truth now is that richer neighborhoods have more of these. Poorer neighborhoods have fewer. Universal daylighting would help us bring more of these to more neighborhoods easier and not fight block by block to make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from the next panel. Kirby Kersels, Zeke Dunn, Darren Fredrich, Susan Lunn, Alan Mahamo? I'm sorry. You get started when you guys are ready. Just ask that you all adhere to the 2-minute rule.
Start down there, or do you want us to start?
Hi, my name's Alan Mukamal. I'm a resident of Red Hook, Brooklyn. And thank you to all the council members who have already supported 1138. I own a car, and I live in a so-called transit desert. And I know when the bill passes, there will be at least 2 fewer spots on my street to park. But despite that potential for inconvenience, I fully support universal daylighting. I hate to put it so crassly, but any member of the council that votes against universal daylighting is putting the convenience of a minority over the safety of many. The other argument I heard against the bill is the cost of hardening daylighting, which is critical to making daylighting effective. I would urge DOT to look for low-cost hardening treatments to be able to meet or even beat the aggressive target of 1,000 per year. DOT cited that untreated daylighting can encourage drivers to cut corners recklessly. But DOT has already been installing inexpensive turn calming devices, those black and yellow bumps, at many intersections. And these can be used temporarily with paint and flex posts for intersections that cannot receive more permanent and expensive treatments in the short term. Daylighting has an ancillary positive effect. By reducing the legal number of on-street parking spots, New Yorkers will be encouraged to choose to not own cars, and visitors will be encouraged to take mass transportation. This is Behavioral Economics 101. It is time to challenge the assumption that car owners can park their property for free in one of the most expensive real estate markets in the world. Without universal daylighting, Vision Zero is a joke. Let's make New York City the safest, most pedestrian-friendly city in the world.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Susan Lunn, and as a resident of Park Slope, I would like to thank Council Member Wan for bringing forth Intro 1138. It shows a clear commitment to safety and improvement towards pedestrians, the majority of users of the streets in New York. The DOT study is fundamentally flawed both in methodology and conclusion. Using fire hydrants and bus stops as substitution for universal daylighting is false equivalence. Cars park in those places, biasing the data. They do so often that the head of the New York Fire Department had to take to social media to urge people to stop parking in fire hydrants. A journalist in Bed-Stuy conducted a walking survey and concluded that 70% of the hydrants had cars parked in front of them. 55% of pedestrian deaths and 79% of pedestrian traffic injuries happen at intersections, and that's according to DOT itself. As has been brought up repeatedly in this hearing, our neighbors in Hoboken have not had a traffic pedestrian death in almost 8 years, and largely credit this to universal daylighting, and this bears repeating. Across the country, studies have shown that this is one of the most effective policies in reducing pedestrian fatalities and injuries. New York should be a leader of the country, and we should lead in pedestrian and cycling safety. We need universal daylighting here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Zeke Dunn. I volunteer for Kids Over Cars. I am the father of a 4-year-old living in Sunnyside, Queens, and you gotta meet Emil. He is obsessed with race cars. He's obsessed with speed. He thirsts for velocity, and I can admit that cars can be cool and going fast is fun. But even Emil knows to stop and look when he gets to the intersection. And unfortunately, not all drivers are as careful as Emil is. I can't tell you the number of times I've seen cars and SUVs cruise quickly through stop signs and red lights in my neighborhood as we walk to the playground or to school. And because NYC exempts itself from the state daylighting law, my son and I can't see clearly down the street as we approach the crosswalk. At the same time, even the responsible drivers can't see us when cars are parked right up against the crosswalk. Even if me and the driver and my son are as careful as we can be, we can't see what we can't see. Daylighting including hardened daylighting at more than 1,000 intersections a year, is nothing less than our duty to all the future generations of little New Yorkers who deserve to grow up healthy and so fast. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Kirby Crisels, and I'm here today as a member of Families for Safe Streets to call on the council to pass Intro 1138. Daylighting is incredibly personal to me. My partner, Emily, was run over by a semi-truck while riding her bike to work. Her body was crushed, and she was in a coma for 6 weeks. When she finally woke up, she was completely blind. It should go without saying that this changed her life forever. The truck that ran her over was turning, and the driver couldn't see her. If universal daylighting had been implemented in 2010, Emily's crash would not have happened. She would still have her sight. But we don't live in a world of what-ifs. We know that physically daylighting intersections dramatically cuts down on crashes that cut lives short and leave survivors with life-altering injuries, crashes that we should absolutely not be tolerating. Today, when Emily leaves our apartment and navigates the city independently, I'm filled with dread that the next time a driver doesn't see her in time, she won't be coming home. It is an egregious failure that in the 15 years since Emily was run over, almost nothing has been done to make intersections in this city safer. Today, the council has the chance to make up for all those years of inaction. Please pass Intro 1138 and bring daylighting to every intersection in New York City. Our lives depend on it.
Thank you. The next panel we'll hear from will be Dahlia Goldenberg, Andrew Rosenthal, Shane O'Neill, Abu Naeem. Jules Vasquez. Okay, you're gonna begin when you're ready. Just take yourself off mute and just ask everyone to adhere to the 2-minute rule.
Hi, I'm Jules. I'm a traveler. I've walked and biked in so many cities, and here I am in New York, and I'm loving it. It's honestly there's so much walking infrastructure. It's pretty great, but it's also randomly life-threatening to get to the park, which doesn't really make sense. Walking shouldn't be something that could potentially end my life or injure me. People have been saying that the streets are not one size fits all, which is why we need something that would allow us, make it easier to create dynamic solutions for these streets, make it easier to get different types of daylighting, hard and planters and seats to sit in, and work with the local organizations that could teach us about what those community needs, such as community boards and bids, know a lot about those intersections and what would benefit them, and dynamic solutions. I'm sure some bids could work with their businesses to get planters out there, and that's, you know, one less thing that the DOT has to figure out alone. There's simpler ways to do it. You know, put a signpost up that seems like physically in the way, rather than a boulder. And also looking to Hoboken not only as legal precedent, but how did they get it out? Where did they start? They didn't get hardened daylighting in every intersection on the first day? Did they start by painting, bleep, bloop, blop, whatever they... Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andrew Rosenthal. I live on the Upper West Side. I walk, I bike, and I park a car on the street. Thank you for providing the opportunity to testify here today. I fully support Intro 1138. This bill is a matter of life and death. I believe that the number one responsibility of the New York City Council is to keep its citizens alive. This bill only asks that New York City follow state law. As DOT testified today, hardened daylighting does reduce crashes and does save lives. An added benefit will be a reduction in auto insurance rates through the reduced crashes and as claims decline. We had 121 pedestrians killed in 2024 and thousands more seriously injured. It could be your child in 2025. The difference between New York City and Hoboken, where daylighting has been, and there have been 0 traffic fatalities, you've heard many times today, the difference is their city council acted. Please take action and pass 1138.
Hi. Hi, my name is Abu Naeem. I was raised in Hollis in Jamaica, Queens, and currently live in Jamaica. I'm here to strongly support Intro 1138 because it improves street safety and directly addresses neighborhood inequities. Jamaica is a car-centric community plagued by speeding and reckless drivers. At many intersections, cars are illegally parked, past the crosswalk, sometimes double parked, and larger vehicles can block visibility of stop signs for incoming drivers. These are dangerous conditions, especially for pedestrians rushing to catch the bus. Universal daylighting will create safer intersections by giving drivers and pedestrians greater visibility. This bill also provides an opportunity to address inequities. Jamaica in District 27 is ranked #1 in the city for excessive heat. With daylighted zones, we can install trees, shade structures, and greenery to cool our streets and protect public health. Jamaica also faces serious flood risk, and we can use these spaces for rain gardens to reduce flooding and stormwater damage. I urge every council member to visit spatialequity.nyc to see your district needs. Let's pass universal daylighting and make New York City the safest and most equitable city in the world. And I'm gonna go a little bit off script and say, I've looked at the study from DOT, and I find it kind of amusing they use the hydrant zone analysis and base it on their own inadequacy of enforcement. So they should be looking for other cities and not use their own inadequacy to justify not passing this law. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity to speak to you about Intro 1138 and share a little bit about the human cost of a lack of daylighting. My name is Shane O'Neill, and my mother and wife and I are all traveled from out of state to be here today. We're here to honor the memory of my youngest brother, Will O'Neill, who was killed on the streets of Brooklyn last year. 7 months ago exactly, in the early morning hours of September 21st, Will was returning home on a city bike when he was struck by a car and flung from the bike. I'll never forget the life-altering 5 a.m. phone call from the responding NYPD officer after Will had already been transported to Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn. He would never wake up and was declared dead on September 23rd at 26 years old. Will was an Eagle Scout, a gardener, a writer, and an adventurer who loved connecting with people. He moved to New York for the same reason as so many others over the years. He was hoping to find himself and chasing a dream in the biggest, most vibrant city in the US. Intro 1138 deals with roads and infrastructure, which are a series of choices about how we allocate space in our cities. Ultimately, decisions like this are about the lives and safety of the residents of New York and visitors. My brother Will was a resident here for far too short a time. The crash that claimed Will's life took place at the intersection of Evergreen Ave and Hart Street in Bushwick, where another cyclist was also killed in 2016. In the case of my brother, reduced visibility due to a lack of daylighting likely prevented the two parties from seeing each other until it was too late. Fractions of seconds matters in these life or death scenarios, and a parked car blocking the line of sight can be all that it takes to turn an unfortunate injury into a life-ending tragedy. On behalf of my family, all those who love Will, and others who have lost their loved ones due to preventable crashes at intersections with poor visibility, I call on the council to pass this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll listen to the next panel. Corey Hannigan, Alex Duncan, Lynn Nevins, Juan Serra. You can begin when ready. Just take yourself off mute, and we ask that you adhere to the 2-minute rule.
Good afternoon. My name is Corey Hannigan with the Tri-State Transportation Campaign. We're the supporting organization for Families for Safe Streets New Jersey and have seen firsthand the positive impact universal daylighting has had in Hoboken, which saw a 35% drop in pedestrian fatalities the year after implementation. Needless to say, we strongly support Intro 1138. I'm also on Queens CB2, one of 22 boards in the city demanding universal daylighting. We are so grateful to our Councilwoman Julie Won for introducing this bill, which our Transportation Committee also officially supports. Thank you also to Chair Brooks Powers, a fellow Queensite, for co-sponsoring and putting it on the agenda today. This policy really should be common sense. It's already state law, but New York City's bizarre exemption means parking is more important than pedestrian safety, specifically in the place where the fewest people drive. DOT claims that just painting the corner won't make a difference, which honestly reflects more poorly on New York City Police Department than anything else. They also conflate bus stops and fire hydrants with soft daylighting, a debatable leap in logic to base their entire judgment on. Certainly, hardening is better than paint alone, but why oppose a policy which would support that effort? Instead, DOT should support this law while emphasizing the need for more funding and staff to accelerate their intersection hardening measures. We are tired of peeking around parked cars. We're tired of cars creeping into the crosswalk because they can't see either. We just want what other dense cities like Hoboken and San Francisco have. We want what other towns in our own state have. We want the city to stop being reactive and waiting for people to die. We need it to be universal so that everyone is safe. San Francisco has recently done what New York City apparently cannot, and daylighted all intersections citywide, starting with simple red painted curbs, because they understand the urgency in acting fast to prevent fatal crashes. I ask our council members to pass this bill with that same urgency and bring us back into alignment with state law. How many more children and seniors need to die? How many families have to live in fear that they'll be next? What are we waiting for? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alex Duncan, also sometimes known as Miser. And I know we talked about this a lot today, but this bill is ultimately, of course, about safety. But this can feel a bit like an abstraction, even to those of us that are closest to this work. So I just want to remind everyone that the movement that led to this, as we've heard, I think, a few times today, was a 7-year-old girl that was killed in Astoria. She was crushed to death by a car. And since then, hundreds more people, including a lot of kids, have been killed by cars. And if we wait even longer, thousands will die. This was a preventable tragedy. And there are people right now in this city that are walking around that are alive because of the daylighting that's already been done. So this bill, of course, as we all know, will save lives. But more importantly, the inverse of this is also true, that the council members that are not here, that are not yet supporting the bill, are costing lives, right? They're choosing to not support something that will save lives. Unfortunately, they're not here in this room to hear all this and to see all the support and the hundreds and maybe thousands of people in this city that are calling for them to actually act. And I specifically want to call out Councilmember Banks, who earlier talked about how he prioritizes car parking over kids' lives. I think that's reprehensible, and I think that all the council members that are not on the bill, I hope they actually hear from their staff that we are watching, we know who you are, we are going to vote against you and fundraise against you and run candidates against you. Because if you can't say that you support keeping your constituents and their kids alive over the storage of private cars, you should not be an elected representative in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. And just point of clarification why I don't want to speak on behalf of Councilmember Banks. I think it's important, and as we've heard from some of the council members, to understand that certain corridors are a bit nuanced because of the lack of parking, but not saying that they don't want safety there either, but looking at other safety mechanisms. So I just don't want to conflate, you know, that statement.
I know, but to be fair, he did say that he wanted to prioritize car parking, which is a sentiment we've heard from a lot of the council members in the outer reaches of the city that aren't supporting
We live
it.
in car-heavy districts, and at the end of the day, there have been a number of reasons why parking has been removed from one program to the next. But again, I live in a car-heavy district. I support daylighting.
Yeah.
But there are certain corridors that it may not necessarily make sense.
I thank you for that, and I thank you for your support, but with all due respect, they may be car-heavy, but they're also kid-heavy, right? Kids live in all of these districts.
Absolutely.
People live in all these districts.
And one can argue that DOT should prioritize the hard infrastructure that we've been calling for a number of years now. So there are a number of tools in the toolbox, but I just don't want to misrepresent something when Councilmember Banks is not here. And again, I'm not trying to speak for him, but just want to clarify because I have a very similar district.
That's fair. I hope we hear from statements from all of them about where their priorities lie, because that's what we're actually debating here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. My name is Juan Serra. I'm a resident of Brooklyn. I'm here to speak in support of daylighting and to implement it universally. This is a measure that will save so many lives, and it's a measure also about equity. I don't understand why we have to delegate public space for the storage of private cars. That in turn makes everything more dangerous for everyone. I don't understand why people need to suffer life-changing crashes and also lose their lives for the convenience of storing private vehicles. I urge the Council to pass Intro 1138, legislation that will benefit everyone and make the city more livable for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Lynn Nevins. I live in Queens. I consider myself a full-time pedestrian, and I've become a street safety advocate gradually over time, particularly over the past few years, due to what I've witnessed on the streets, what I've felt on the streets. Drivers as a whole have become far more emboldened, entitled, scofflaw, and that includes the blocking of crosswalks. I think a lot of drivers think, what's the big deal? People can just go around me. But it actually is a big deal. It creates deadly domino effects. We've already talked about the lack of visibility, but when a crosswalk is blocked, it also forces pedestrians to walk behind or in front of a vehicle further into traffic in the intersection, creating more dangers for the pedestrian. My observation is that the only way to get certain scofflaw drivers to not block crosswalks is to physically prevent them from blocking the crosswalk in the first place. Hardened daylighting, any other soft form, from what I've seen in my neighborhood in Queens, it's not going to stop these drivers. And I just want to mention something I've seen on multiple occasions in my neighborhood. If you can imagine a street and an avenue where they meet, and the two adjacent crosswalks, I've seen one driver block one crosswalk, the other block the adjacent crosswalk, and a third driver have the audacity to come in at an angle and park at the apex of that corner. There are now 3 vehicles blocking the entire corner. It's time that New York City start to protect its most vulnerable citizens, which are pedestrians and cyclists, against certain scofflaw drivers and their 2-ton machines on wheels. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next panel we'll hear from would be Brent Buvenzi, Dorothy Pierrard, Michael Pugh, Ben Tweedy, Robert Feltalt, okay, you can begin. Just come off and mute, and I just ask everybody to adhere to the 2-minute limit. Thank you.
My name is Ben Tweedy, and I'm a resident of Brooklyn. I want to thank the council for doing something that feels rare in street safety, being proactive in reducing risk for pedestrian and drivers alike with Intro 1138. And I'm appalled by the DOT's interest in focusing on historically dangerous locations because that is retroactive, and the data that they are looking for is human life and injury. I've noticed that three-wheel scooters seem to be a rite of passage for toddlers in my neighborhood. It's giving them unprecedented speed and mobility. And although this demographic also excels at peekaboo, the game needs to stop. This is a world where stop signs feel that they are optional and unenforced. Crosswalks have been converted into loading zones for Amazon, UPS, and FedEx. Uber drivers are constantly checking their maps, and pedestrians can't see around souped up Toyota Tundras that are overlapping with the crosswalk. I think that a lot of us are here because we just want to die of natural causes. And we thank you for passing 1138 and keeping that dream alive.
My name is Dorothy Peward, and I am an orientation and mobility specialist working with blind and visually impaired individuals across the 5 boroughs. I've been teaching street crossing for over 15 years in New York City, and I'm here to strongly support Bill 1138. Cars parked too close to crosswalk pose a real danger to people with vision loss. They block the view for those with limited sight and muffle critical sounds needed to detect oncoming traffic. This forces some pedestrians to step into the street just to hear if it's safe to cross, which is both dangerous and terrifying. Bill 1138 would not only help blind pedestrians by clearing the space near corners, it would also help drivers by making it easier to spot someone using a white cane. For the safety and independence of the people I serve every day, I respectfully urge the City Council to pass this important bill. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Hi, my name is Brent Bovenzi. I'm a resident of Williamsburg, and I'm speaking in support of Intro 1138. Thank you for having this hearing. And yeah, I think universal daylighting is a statement of our values, of making streets safe, not just for some, but for all. All streets should be safe. You know, all of them have this, all of them are dangerous, can be dangerous, and we can make them safer. I find that DOT seems to be just sandbagging their study, that they seem to not want to do more work, because that is more work for them to do. And I think we can see this anytime anybody is requested, if you have requested a stop sign or stoplight, you see it takes forever to get a reply, and then at the end of it, there is some sort of criteria that that intersection doesn't meet. That's why we need this universal approach to making all of our intersections safer in one go. And I think there's ways that that can be cheaper than what DOT says. We repave streets, we rebuild pedestrian ramps, and there's new construction, redoing sidewalks every single year. If we actually coordinate within an agency to add universal daylighting at the same time, we can scale up well beyond 1,000 hardened intersections every year, and it's not going to have to cost us millions and millions to do, even though that millions and millions is totally worth it to save lives of New Yorkers. I think that this is only getting more important today. Cars and trucks are only getting larger, making it hard to see them. So once in a while, I walk around and I can't even see over a truck's hood, and I'm 5'11". There are so many ways to do daylighting, from planters to boulders to rain gardens to trees to cafe seating, that I do think we can fit daylighting to match the neighborhood it's in. It isn't a one-size-fits-all, but we have a lot of sizes to fit in there, and that's why I do think it can be universal across the whole city. So I urge you to pass this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Brooks Powers, and thank you, Councilmember Wan, for introducing this bill. My name is Bobby Felto, and I am in support of Intro 1138. I'm a resident of Astoria and also the vice chair of the 31st Ave Open Street Collective, an all-volunteer organization that facilitates the DOT's Open Streets program. Each weekend from April to December, our first weekend is this weekend, by the way, for anyone who wants to come enjoy the street, we see firsthand what safer streets can do for the community when the roadway closes to traffic and opens to people, with free programming and seating for all. The most rewarding thing I get to experience as an open street volunteer is when parents bring their children to the space, or when parents bring their children to the space so they can learn to ride a bike, run around, or just draw with chalk during the brief amount of time when the street is not a dangerous place and something to be feared. Too many people have been hurt or killed on our streets, and especially at our intersections, where vehicles parked right up against the crosswalks block visibility for drivers and pedestrians alike. Every day, I see drivers speeding up at yellow lights to try and beat the red, which is exactly when people waiting at crosswalks are about to step into the roadway. Without hardened daylighting treatments at intersections, this scenario quickly becomes life-threatening, but it doesn't need to be. Our neighbors in Hoboken and Jersey City show that daylighting can be implemented on a large scale and with great benefits to the public, as shown by their excellent pedestrian safety record, something that people on this side of the Hudson deserve as well. As vehicles continue to get larger and heavier, it is more important than ever to repurpose our public curb space for the benefit and safety of everyone. This problem already has proven solutions, so now is the time we ask ourselves what we value as a society: a few more spaces to store vehicles or human lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the panel. Next panel, Merrill Laborde, Michael Magazine. Michael. James Hassett, Michelle Deem. You can start when you're ready by taking yourself off, by turning your mic on, and then we just ask that you adhere to the 2-minute rule. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Merrill Laborde. I live in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, and I'm here to speak in support of Intro 1138, requiring the Department of Transportation to implement universal daylighting and harden at minimum 1,000 daylighted intersections a year. Removal of parking within 20 feet of an intersection is common sense. Better visibility at intersections reduces the risk of collision and can prevent deaths and injuries. This is especially important for the most vulnerable New Yorkers, children, the elderly, and disabled people. Daylighting is the law in the rest of New York State, and there is no reason that New York City should be exempt from State Law 1202. All 8 million residents and the millions of tourists who visit each year are pedestrians. Car drivers are a minority of road users, and we cannot continue to put their convenience over the safety of everyone. The Department of Transportation's current slow, piecemeal approach to daylighting means more New Yorkers will die and be seriously injured waiting for DOT to take action. This is unacceptable, and the Council has an opportunity to take action immediately to prevent more deaths and injuries. I thank Councilmember Wan for her leadership on Intro 1138, as well as to the 23 council members who have co-sponsored this bill, and I urge the Council to pass this common sense legislation.
Cool. Good afternoon. I'm Michael Magazine. I am the lead of elected partnerships with Sunrise Movement New York City and a youth climate organizer with Fridays for Future. I'm here in support of Councilmember Wan's Intro 1138. I want to remind us all that around this time last year was one of the deadliest since Vision Zero. Contrary to perception, it's not our subways, but our intersections that are among the deadliest places to be in this city. With over half of every traffic fatality and about 7 in 10 traffic injuries happening at intersections. In a city as densely populated as ours, it's one car's worth of visibility that spells the difference between a safe turn or the tragic death of 253 people. This traffic violence, mind you, is disproportionately a youth issue. Children who are in strollers or crossing the street from school rely upon drivers' visibility to stay safe. When that's absent, we see tragedy. We see youth like Kamari Hughes, a 7-year-old struck down by an NYPD tow truck back in October of 2023. Is it suddenly vision good enough? Vision some kids can die? From DOT's earlier testimony, it seems like we are centuries away from Vision Zero. New York City needs to be exceptional, not exempt. With universal daylighting, our streets set drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians up for safety. Safety as increasing visibility, calming traffic, shortening the crossing distance, and slowing turning vehicles, to name a few. And success as in improving air quality in public space, where we pair daylighting with rain gardens and other green infrastructure, which is an important benefit as this city rapidly seeks ways to combat impacts of climate change. As a proven policy measure that is efficient, effective, and endorsed by council members, community orgs, agencies, state representatives, cities, counties, and 40 states, this is a no-brainer. I, alongside the Sunrise Movement of New York City and Fridays for Future, say yes to Intro 1138. Thank you.
Hello, my name is James Hassett. I am also a member of the Sunrise Movement New York City, and I'm here in favor of Intro 1138 because this is simply a common sense solution to make the most populous city in the country safer for the people who walk it every single day. I think that when it comes down to the bill, it's obvious that improving visibility and putting up safeguards around crosswalks will help lives. Even drivers who hasn't had the experience of a stop sign intersection where you can't see the opposing traffic and drivers are forced to pull into the crosswalk. I mean, this is just about bad street design. You might lose some parking spaces, but here's the thing. You're never going to have enough parking spaces for drivers in this city. If you make more parking spaces, you'll have more drivers who fill those parking spaces. So why don't we prioritize the people who are actually using the streets the most? People who are walking, people using the subway, people using the buses, people with kids, people with dogs. They are putting their lives at risk every time walking into a crosswalk. And so I absolutely support this bill and urge you to pass it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle Demme. I am also a member of Transportation Alternatives, not Sunrise Movement, but we're here. So yes, in support of Intro 1138, that would bring universal daylighting to New York City and require DOT to install physical infrastructure that hardens daylit spots at 1,000 intersections a year. And as I said, I work at TA, but this issue is not just part of my job, it's a deeply personal one. Over a year ago, I lost my aunt to traffic violence. She was vibrant, full of life, and endlessly generous. She helped raise me, she taught me how to cook, how to stand up for myself, how to laugh loudly and love fiercely. She was turning at an intersection in Budapest when another driver sped through, crashed into her vehicle. The crash totaled her car. She survived the initial impact, but the initial trauma led to an acute respiratory syndrome and eventually sepsis. She died in a hospital bed days later. Her death was not just tragic, it was violent. Violent to experience and violent to watch unfold from afar. I remember the phone call. I remember the helplessness of being thousands of miles away. I remember my mom crying on the kitchen floor, and I remember feeling like the world had gone silent. That crash didn't happen in New York, but the conditions that led to it, limited visibility, high speeds, preventable design, failure exist everywhere. Traffic violence is a global epidemic, and New York has the opportunity to lead in preventing it. Daylighting doesn't just protect pedestrians or cyclists, it protects drivers too. My aunt might still be here today if her view in that intersection hadn't been blocked. We cannot wait for more families to go through what mine did. As a daughter of immigrants who deeply believe in the power of close-knit communities, I know how important it is for people to feel safe walking to school, biking to work, or simply crossing the street. We all deserve streets that care for us, that are designed for life, not just for cars. My family came to the US here believing in the promise of community care, that the people around you would keep you safe. Our streets should reflect that promise. We have the power to prevent these kinds of deaths, to make sure that the next aunt, the next son, the next neighbor makes it home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to the panel. Next, we'll hear from May Frank. May Frank. Kevin Lachera. Kevin Lachera. Jackson Chabot. David Vassar. David Vassar. Cynthia McKnight. Chris Roberti. Carrie Hill. Carrie Hill. You can start when you guys are ready. Just come off of mute and please adhere to the 2-minute rule.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Brooks Powers and the members of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee for holding today's hearing. My name is Cynthia McKnight, and I'm the President and Brooklyn Borough President appointee of the Community Education Council for District 13 in Brooklyn. I am here representing members of my community who are part of Families for Safe Streets, an organization made up of individuals who have either lost or loved one or been injured in a traffic crash. I support Intro 1138 and universal daylighting in New York City, and I urge you to support this life-saving legislation. As the president of CEC 13, it is my responsibility to ensure the safety, health, and success of the children in District 13. I have dedicated my life and career to caring for children, but too often I find myself assisting children and families after horrific tragedies. I am painfully aware of the impact of traffic violence. Last school year, Kamari, a 7-year-old student from Whitman Houses in Fort Greene, was killed while crossing the street with his mother. It was heartbreaking to hug his mother at the funeral and to realize that daylighting could have saved his young life. I also live near the intersection in Clinton Hill where baby Apollinia lost her life, and I still hear the scream of the mother when she was killed. Daylighting could have also saved baby Apollina. When our streets and interactions are unsafe, it is New Yorkers who pay the price. The lack of visibility can quickly become deadly, especially for children, as the smallest pedestrians are often difficult to see behind parked cars. Additionally, many seniors, including grandparents and great-aunts and uncles raising children, have expressed their concerns about street safety. Seniors are disproportionately affected by pedestrian fatalities, despite being a smaller percentage of the city's population. Finally, I want to honor my childhood friend Edith, who lost her life while we were walking home from PS 306 in East New York. Daylighting could have saved Edith and many other New Yorkers. Universal daylighting can make our city better, safer, more accessible, and greener. It is a common sense solution to numerous problems supported by both pedestrians and drivers alike, and it is already working across the nation. I urge you to support 1113. Thank you for the opportunity to share my testimony.
Thank you.
Sorry I went over.
Hi, I'm Carrie Hill, and I live in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, and I'm also here in support of 1138 daylighting. I'm a mother of an 8-year-old son, and when I think about it, every time I cross the street, I make him stand behind me so I can look, and then he's allowed to cross. And in a year or two, he'll be navigating the streets by himself, going to middle school, and I just think, how is he going to cross the street safely? It just seems impossible. I wanted to make 2 points about the budget concerns and parking concerns. It seems like the DOT's process is to take everything so piecemeal and to study everything. And I would argue that it would be cost saving to just have a law that says we're going to do daylighting. You don't have to independently study every single corner. We like it. And if it takes you 10 years, you know, whatever it takes, as long as you're not wasting time deciding whether or not to do it, I would say it's cost saving and time saving. Also, with the parking concerns, I do feel like a lot more people got cars after COVID, and maybe we'll start to go the other direction, but I also agree, the more parking you have, the more it gets filled up. And we also have a lot more cars on the road with Uber and Lyft. They're idling in parking spots, waiting for their next, customer. And perhaps the city should look into regulating those apps a bit. That might help with the parking as well. But mainly, I'm just really in support of passing this law. So thank you so much, Julie Wan, for bringing this bill.
Hi, my name is Kevin Lachera. I'm a fourth-generation Greenpointer, and I've been involved in the advocacy campaign for universal daylighting for the last year and a half. I want to thank Councilmember Brooks Powers and Councilmember Wan for their support on this bill and for staying with us to hear our testimony today. We know how difficult these conversations can be district by district, and I just want to really say how appreciated your leadership is. I want to talk about why daylighting matters and why it has such strong support across our city. 22 community boards have passed resolutions in clear support. 131 neighborhood groups have signed on. A whopping 85 elected officials, that's half of all elected officials that represent the city of New York at every level of government, have stated their support for this policy. And it's because they can see this crisis up close. They can see it on the street that they live, in their own neighborhoods. As we talk about how we mark dangerous intersections and we hear excuses and evasion from the Adams administration over hardened daylighting or signage or neck downs, I can tell you how a lot of dangerous intersections in Greenpoint are marked, and that's with a ghost bike, or a photo, or flowers, a memorial to a neighbor that we've lost. We're here today because we know their names: Jimmy Battaglia, Matthew Jensen, Nicole Detweiler, Lucy McElhern. In the late 1970s, Lucy McElhern was killed at the corner of Meserole Avenue and McGinnis Boulevard when she was hit in the crosswalk by a speeding driver. She died within sight of her home. I know her name because she was my father's next-door neighbor. She was the first person he ever knew who died. And when I was growing up crossing that street, I heard her story over and over again. That intersection is daylit today as a part of the Make McGinnis Safe Road diet, a redesign in which our community was told over and over and over again over the course of 3 very difficult years by DOT how hard a redesign would be to implement on McGinnis Boulevard. But we kept at it. We knew the stakes were nothing less than our own lives, and we got it done. But it shouldn't have taken a massive 3-year campaign to have made that intersection safe. It should have been safe as a matter of policy and law. It should have been safe for Lucy, and with Intro 1138, we can make our intersection safe for all of us. Please pass this bill. We can do it.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackson Chabot. I'm the Director of Advocacy and Organizing at Open Plans. We'll submit longer remarks for the committee's review, and I want to highlight a few top-line points that elevate what other folks have said here today. Other folks will say here online later on. It's not about us. It's not about me. It's about we. We are all here today because we believe in street safety. We are all here today virtually in community boards, in community organizations that Kevin has mentioned, because everyone resonates with this. Daylighting works for all road users. It works for drivers, pedestrians, people biking, children scooting. It just works. I'm especially proud of the community board conversations that we've had. Team members of mine have gone to Rosedale Civics Association in person to speak with folks. I've virtually shared information about daylighting with Queens Community Board 13. I went up to Bronx Community Board 5. Our team has worked with so many of these community boards across the city because we know that community conversations are tough and we want to have them with folks. This resonates with folks because we've been empathetic. We've listened to their concerns, and time and again, folks who identify as drivers say, I would rather save the life of my neighbor, of a child crossing the street, in service and in sacrifice of a parking spot. It just works. The DOT's concerns are all about scale and money. Those are not insurmountable, and we've heard that from folks today. We must implement this. We must implement this across the city because, as someone said earlier, we have a universal problem, and this is a universal solution. With the remaining time, I'd like to share a gratitude and appreciation to Chair Brooks Powers for having this hearing today. We've been in discussion for many months, and I really appreciate you listening not only to that, but also to the folks here today, as well as for Councilmember Juan for pushing to have this heard as well. This is of the moment, and we are of the moment, and this is what we need. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the panel. Next panel, we'll hear from Natasha Dumas. Natasha Dumas. Justin Realmuto. Christopher Rosario. Lauren Newman. Raul Rivera. You could begin when you're ready. Just take the mic off mute, and I ask everyone adhere to the 2-minute rule.
Hi, my name is Justin Realmuto. I live on Winthrop Street in Brooklyn between Flatbush Avenue and Bedford Avenue. And when I leave my building and I make a right, I'm on Bedford and Winthrop, and there's 3 corners there that have a daylighting application. It's like the curb sticks out a little bit, and it's just better over there. If I make a left, Flatbush and Winthrop, it's not as safe. And in having that experience, seeing that how those different intersections feel across every single day when I leave my house, it makes me realize, oh, this is great over here on Bedford and Winthrop. I want to do it. On the other side, I want to do it all over the neighborhood. I think it's wonderful. And that's why I'm here to support it. I'm mostly a biker, but I also cross the street. I'm a pedestrian. Everyone does that. And again, someone said common sense, but I feel like that's like the key word for me. If this idea, this bill, makes it safer for anyone crossing the street, I feel like it's a great idea because everyone has to cross the street at some point. And if it makes it easier to see people when you're crossing the street, you know, you're walking across the street, no one wants to get hit by a car, but car drivers don't want to hit people either too. So I feel like this is a great idea. I fully support it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Rosario. I'm a resident of East Harlem, and I attend Central Park East High School in District 8, which has seen the second highest traffic injuries in the city according to Spatial Equity NYC. As a young person navigating our city's streets, I believe that Intro 1138 to implementing universal daylighting is a crucial step towards ensuring the safety of all New Yorkers. East Harlem, like many vibrant and densely populated neighborhoods in Manhattan, faces challenges with pedestrian and cyclist safety at intersections. The practice of daylighting, keeping the areas around crosswalks clear of parked cars, would be incredibly beneficial here. On avenues like Lexington Avenue, for example, when there's often heavy foot traffic crossing to access businesses and public transportation, parked cars frequently obstruct the view between pedestrians and drivers. Implementing daylighting would dramatically improve sightlines at these crucial crossing points, making it much safer for residents, families, and seniors navigating our neighborhood streets. Clearing those corners means drivers can see pedestrians sooner, and pedestrians can see oncoming traffic more clearly before stepping onto the crosswalk. We don't have to look too far to see the positive impact of prioritizing pedestrian and cyclist visibility. In Hoboken, New Jersey, as of 2023, they saw a remarkable 50% reduction in pedestrians seriously injured in collisions with vehicles and a 67% reduction in bicyclists seriously injured in in collisions with vehicles. While these statistics reflect the broader focus on safety, the principle of improved visibility that daylighting provides is undoubtedly a contributing factor to such to positive outcomes. Implementing daylighting measures in New York City, including East Harlem and around our schools, is a crucial step towards making our streets safer for all. Thank you for your time and consideration, and please, let's prioritize safety instead of parking space.
Good afternoon. My name is Laura Newman, and I'm the Youth and Schools Organizer at Transportation Alternatives. I'm here today to express my strong support for Intro 1138 and the implementation of universal daylighting across New York City. As someone who works closely with students, parents, and educators, I hear the same story again and again. Our streets are designed in ways that make the simple, everyday act of walking to school unnecessarily dangerous. More than 75% of New York City students commute to school by walking, biking, or public transit. Yet the streets surrounding their schools are too often built for cars and not for children. Daylighting is a simple, proven, and life-saving intervention. Clearing the space near intersections gives children, some of our smallest and most vulnerable pedestrians, a fighting chance to be seen and to get home safely. Universal daylighting would not only prevent crashes, but unlock space for greenery, stormwater management, bike racks, bus boarding islands, public seating, and so many other public amenities, infrastructure that every neighborhood deserves. But I want to emphasize, passing this bill is only one piece of the puzzle. Our school communities need deep, sustained investment in the infrastructure that makes streets safe and welcoming, from daylighting through curb extensions, street trees, bioswales, and more. Our Green School Safe Streets initiative shows the transformative potential when we center students in street design. Our kids deserve streets that are safe, green, and resilient, not just during this morning bell, but every day, all year long. Intro 1138 is a vital step forward, and I urge you to pass this bill and to pair it with the resources needed to fully realize a safer, healthier future for New York City's people. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Raul Rivera. I'm a TLC driver and a TLC driver advocate. We haven't driven in 2 years, but we have 23,000 trips with Uber and Lyft. As you can see, we have a room full of people who are basically lobbyists and getting paid. These are nonprofits here. These individuals that are here, they may put a smile on their face, but they're not fooling anybody. We're against 1138. Actually, we're against this committee. This committee is not doing its job. Last month, we asked for your resignation, and I think that was important. We hear a lot about parking. In your district, you're giving away parking to rideshare companies. It's on the DOT website. These people here are nothing but anti-vehicle, right? Anti-vehicle. They're not for safety. If they were for safety, they will be for Priscilla's Law. And nobody's for Priscilla's Law. I think Priscilla counts, and nobody's defending that, right? Doesn't Priscilla count? And another thing that's very important that everybody should know is that you, council member, have over 30-something camera tickets. That's pretty despicable. 30-something camera tickets. 21 of them are speeding tickets through school zones. You know, you might think that this is a personal attack, but it's not. It's a fact. The people that are on this committee, you know, got multiple tickets like you. I don't know. You said you pledged to do better. And right after the pledge, you got another 3 tickets. I've been driving for 6.5 years. I only got 2 tickets. It's amazing what's happening here. These NGOs are nothing but lobbyists. This is, it's comical. You can't make it up. You can't make it up. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
I just want to make sure that it's on record. One, the chair of this committee, Sylvina Brooks Powers, has done an amazing job in making sure that we have all voices heard in the city, and also for your personal opinion on these
I
individuals
didn't- I
here. They
didn't- I
all
didn't
have
ask for
daytime
rebuttal.
jobs, and don't
I
speak.
didn't ask
Nope,
for rebuttal.
You can't speak
and
over me.
we can't ask questions, right?
You can't speak
Allow
over me.
her to speak.
Yeah, you can respond after.
You take care of your tickets. That's what you should do.
You know
You
what?
worry
You
about
should-
that. Pass Priscilla's law. How about that?
These individuals in this room have daytime jobs and are volunteering their time to make sure their voices are heard. No, they're not. No, they're not, because by law, it has to be on the record. Thank you for your time.
Thank you to the panel. The next panel we'll hear from will be Sharon Brown, Brian Howell, and Nick Morano. You can start whenever you're ready. Just come off of mute, and please keep it to 2 minutes and stay on topic. Thank you.
My name is Sharon Brown. Before I begin, remember Israel, release the hostages.
Please keep it
let
to the
Yahweh's people
Please keep
go.
it to the legislation of today, Ms. Brown.
Defend Israel. Thank you. We are at war. I am just
Please keep it.
prefacing
This is your
Thank
second
you.
warning.
Okay. I previously, lives are more important than parking spots. I previously testified my sister, Mary Ann Brown, worked at CCRB, Complaint Review Board, and she was hit and run down by a car while out of state. It's happening in New York also. People are being careless or intentional in hitting people, whatever the situation is, in the crosswalks. And it's good to have the daylighting. Whatever would be best for us, if they need to tweak the daylighting, it would be fine. I have been advocating for more seating and more beautification of the city, and also more bathrooms, so we can include bathrooms in this design. People should not be able to park near the crosswalks, because this is where they are actually being run down, and it would make it safer for everyone if they weren't so close to the crosswalks. Whatever the amount of space, 20 feet, whatever it is, they need to definitely make sure that people are safe. And remember Israel. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Councilmember Wan, and other members of this committee. My name is Brian Howell, and I'm a member of Brooklyn Community Board 2 and its Transportation Committee, though I speak today in favor of Intro 1138 only in a personal capacity. On Rosh Hashanah it is inscribed, and Yom Kippur it is sealed. How many will pass from the earth, and how many will be born? Who shall live, and who shall die? Who will die at her time, and who before his time? Who by water, and who by fire? Who by sword, and who by beast? Who by famine, and who by thirst? Who by upheaval, and who by plague? Who by struggling, and who by stoning? These words from the Unatana Tokef recited each year on Yom Kippur remind us that life is fragile and fleeting, that our time is uncertain, and that so much is beyond our control. But not everything is. It's easy to dwell on the everyday inconveniences, just missing the train, a long line at the bank, circling endlessly for a parking spot. What's impossible to remember are the tragedies that never came to pass, not because of luck, but because people before us in rooms like this one acted urgently to put public safety first. If not for antibiotics, the polio vaccine, seatbelts, pasteurization, airbags, how many of us would not be sitting here today? These tools, these policies have saved countless lives, but whose? None of us can say for certain whether we were the ones spared. That's the thing about prevention. When it works, it's invisible. Some have spoken today about the frustration of fewer parking spaces without considering that daylighting, this simple change to make our intersections safer, may one day save their lives or the lives of those they love. This moment calls for clarity. The inconvenience of looking for parking is not equal to the tragedy of a death on our streets. We must recognize the difference between the nuisance of looking for parking and the tragedy of being injured, being paralyzed, of being called before our time. I cannot say for certain if daylighting will save my life or my grandmother's or my brother's or my niece's or my parents' or my cousins' lives. all New Yorkers, by the way. I cannot say for certain whether it will save your life, but I can say with confidence it will save some of our lives. To these weighing this bill today, thinking not only of policy or parking, but rather of people, I offer you the words of Rabbi Hillel in the Pirkei Avot: if I am not for myself, who will be for me? But if I am only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Morano. To be clear, I'm not a lobbyist. I'm a biochemist. I work at Columbia University. I'm also a car owner, and to be honest, I love my car. I personally have seen 2 people in New York City killed by cars with my own eyes. I've lived here for 31 years. The first of these was a particularly gruesome accident that I can never forget. I was going for a run in the Bronx about 10 years ago, where I lived at the time, and I heard a loud noise. I saw a car jump up in the air, and I ran over to it, and I saw a guy laying across the street. There was a doctor nearby. She came over and flipped him over, and as she flipped him over, I, in an instant, realized that he was dead, and his skull had been cracked open. And I'll never forget that instant of realizing that this man was dead. He was crossing a street outside of Montefiore Medical Center. It was his first day out of rehab. And, you know, someone earlier was speaking about traffic violence, and this death was a violent death. It was a terrible death. And if we can stop things like this from happening and stop these violent deaths with easy solutions like daylighting, then we absolutely have to. And so that's why I'm testifying in favor of daylighting today. Thank you.
Thank you to the panel. Next, we will go to our virtual testimonies. First up, David Pecoraro.
You may begin.
Oh. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I was just a little kerfuffle there. Okay. Good afternoon, Transportation Committee Chair, my council member Sabina Brooks Powers, and the rest of our committee. I'm here to testify in favor of Intro 1138, which creates universal daylighting. For identification purposes only, I am the secretary of the Rosedale Civic Association and a member of both Community Board 13 Queens as Transportation Committee. Both organizations have passed resolutions in favor of daylighting that I have strongly supported. However, I am testifying today as a 65-year-old lifelong New Yorker and a 59-year resident of Rosedale. I am over 6 tall, a car driver, and I have issues safely crossing intersections that lack proper visibility. Specifically, I'm testifying for real daylighting, not the daylighting in name only that was installed at the corner of 243rd Street and 145th Avenue in Rosedale. This sensitive location includes both the Rosedale Library and Post Office. As most of you know, there are actually 8 points of intersection where two-way streets meet. The Department of Transportation somehow believes that adding one no parking sign at one corner would successfully daylight the intersection. What they fail to understand is that without some hardening, perhaps a bollard, the sign is routinely ignored, especially by trucks delivering to the bodega at that corner. The DOT needs to look at intersections like this, where they took an inadequate simplistic approach and hardened all 8 points to protect the children and senior citizens using our library and post office. Please include a look back in the legislation to correct inadequate daylighting as we move forward to a city where daylighting is a rule, not the exception, to protect pedestrians and other drivers. And I also make note, as I said, I'm a car
Your
owner.
time
and
has
I'm an
expired.
unpaid
Thank
retiree.
you.
Thank you, David. Next, we'll hear from Britt Bird.
They are not on.
Next, we'll hear from Rosamund Giannuzzo.
Hello. Thank you for taking my testimony today. I'm coming to speak to you in enthusiastic support for Intro 1138. And I come to you as both a mother and as a neuropsychologist. As a mother, I spent the last week taking care of my 50-year-old son. So do the math. I'm not, a spring chicken. I beat the guy before me in years. But the point being that my son has a severe disability, and I was the backup caregiver all week. And I want to highlight the cost of traffic violence and the injuries that are produced thereby. I want to explain because, I'm exhausted from just spending 1 week taking care of my son. My back is killing me. And yet, why am I saying this? Because vehicular violence, which daylighting will reduce, not only kills, it causes severe injuries like my son's. He was not injured by vehicular violence, but that's where my role as a neuropsychologist comes in. I treat people with severe brain injuries frequently caused by traffic violence. In particular, I have treated 2 people for over 20 years. Each week, I go to their homes to treat them, and I see their family members working day in and day out to take care of their loved ones. And these are both people that can't get out of bed or toilet themselves. And I see their parents, both of them have parents that are older than me, which means they're ancient, caring faithfully.
Your time has expired. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Eric McClure.
Thank you, Chair Brooks Powers. I appreciate the opportunity to testify today. My name is Eric McClure. I am the Executive Director of Streets PAC. We strongly support Intro 1138, which would prohibit standing or parking a motor vehicle within 20 feet of a crosswalk at an intersection, as well as require the New York City Department of Transportation to implement daylighting barriers at a minimum of 1,000 intersections per year. Daylighting is a proven and common sense engineering measure that undoubtedly saves lives and reduces injuries caused by vehicle and pedestrian crashes. It usually involves removing parking spaces at the corners nearest where traffic enters an intersection, and ideally replaces those parking spaces with physical barriers that prevent parking, such as curb extensions, bike racks, planters, or boulders. Daylighting is in fact the law throughout New York State, but New York City has inexcusably exempted itself from this statute. We need only look across the Hudson River to see how effective daylighting can be. Hoboken, which began an effort to daylight all its intersections in 2009, has not had a pedestrian fatality in 8 years, a remarkable safety record. Hoboken started daylighting its intersections with flex posts and paint, subsequently building out physical curb extensions as budget and time has allowed. While the Department of Transportation has expressed reservations about universally daylighting the city's intersections, citing data that shows higher rates of injury at some corners where the only measure is signage prohibiting parking, the remedy to that is physical infrastructure that prevents parking or standing at corners. Given that NYCDOT's data also indicates that more than half of pedestrian fatalities and nearly 80% of pedestrian injuries occur at intersections, it's clear that we need to change the way our intersections are designed. While hardened barriers obviously come with added costs, it's incumbent on the City Council and the administration to fund those measures. We know that a universal daylighting requirement would take significant time to phase in, which would allow for funding for hardening measures to be budgeted over multiple fiscal years. We would support allowing NYCDOT some leeway in using professional judgment in making determinations about intersections that it determines would be made more unsafe with daylighting measures, but we're confident that the number of locations that will not be made safer by daylighting will be a small fraction of the city's 40,000 plus intersections. We urge the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure to support Intro 1138.
Your time has expired.
Voted into law as soon as possible. Let me just conclude by thanking Councilmember Wan for introducing and promoting this legislation, and you, Chair Brooks Powers, for your longtime support for daylighting measures. Just in closing, I'll add that our Community Board, Community Board 6, which I chair in Brooklyn, was the second board in the city to vote overwhelmingly in favor of universal daylighting provision. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Ken Coughlin.
You may begin.
Thank you. My name is Ken Coughlin. I live on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and I'm a member of Community Board 7 and its Transportation Committee. Thank you for holding this hearing, Chair Brooks Powers, and thank you, Councilmember Wan, for introducing Intro 1138, which I am testifying in strong support of. My community board is one of 22 boards across the city, representing more than 3 million New Yorkers that have passed resolutions calling for universal daylighting. According to the Federal Highway Administration, daylighting reduces pedestrian crashes by 30%. This is why New York state law requires daylighting statewide, except in New York City, which has chosen to override this law and allow parking right up to the crosswalk. Daylighting is particularly critical, as we've heard, given today's large SUVs, which are so massive that drivers cannot see pedestrians about to cross, and pedestrians must be well into the street to see oncoming traffic. This lack of visibility is a recipe for disaster, and there have already been too many such disasters at our intersections, where the vast majority of pedestrian injuries and deaths occur. If we truly believe that safety is our first priority in street design, then daylighting is a simple, very low-cost way to save lives and prevent life-changing injuries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Sue Silverman.
You may begin.
Thank you. Thank you for affording me the opportunity to testify, and I'd like to thank Councilmember Julie Wan for your support and advocacy on this issue. I'm Sue Silverman. I'm a resident of Astoria, Queens. I am not a lobbyist. I am not being paid. I do not work for an NGO. I am not anti-vehicle. I am myself a driver. I've never testified before, but I feel so strongly about this issue that I have taken off a day from work to make sure my voice is heard. I'm here to testify in support of Intro 1138, which is a common sense policy that would save lives. In Queens, as Councilmember Wan has set forth, we are unfortunately and terrifyingly all too familiar with the danger cars pose to pedestrians, especially children. We have lost children walking home from school or the playground while crossing at crosswalks with a right of way because drivers did not see them. As a driver, I know all too well how difficult it is to see who is at the crosswalk when cars are parked near an intersection, and it is especially hard to see children. As a mother, I tell my son to always make sure you make eye contact with drivers when crossing the street. But how can he do that if the drivers can't even see him and he can't see the cars? As others have testified, universal hardened daylighting is a relatively simple and low-cost step we can take to improve pedestrian safety and save lives. Moreover, hardened daylighting provides an opportunity to add green space, absorb flooding, and install structures that will help pedestrians, such as bus shelters. I've heard the arguments against daylighting today, but I remain unconvinced because common sense and my own experience as both a driver and pedestrian tell me that seeing who is at the crosswalk is the first step to not hitting whoever is at the crosswalk. Yes, we will lose parking spots, but I'd rather lose parking spots in another lane.
Thank you. Time's expired.
Thank you. Please.
Thank you.
Please prioritize lives and pass 1138. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Felipe Castillo.
You may begin.
Hello, I'm here in support of 1138. My name is Felipe Castillo and I live in Harlem. I want to thank the chair, Ms. Brooks Powers, and Council Member One for championing this legislation. I also want to thank my council member, Sean Abreu, for being a co-sponsor. My background right here.
I was just
as
trying to figure
mayor-
out what your background
Yeah,
was.
yeah. So my background is the corner of West 94th Street and Columbus Avenue on the Upper West Side. This is an intersection that received daylighting treatment decades ago, like I think in the 70s, after some neighborhood children were run over by drag racers on the street, and so like this is, I think, in today's testimony, the first image that we're seeing, at least on the Zoom, of what daylighting can look like, and this is one of the safest intersections in the Upper West Side. This has proven to be much safer for all road users, especially the most vulnerable. I think the human cost of not daylighting has been explained by all the previous testimonies, so I'm not going to add to that. But I just want to say that inaction on this matter is capitulating our shared public space for the storage of private vehicles, and most of the time for free. So I urge the city council to pass this bill so all of our intersections can look like this. This looks very nice. So thank you for your time. I yield the rest of it.
Thank you. Thanks for the visual. Next, we'll hear from Pedro Rodriguez.
You may begin.
Hello. Thank you so much for holding this hearing. My name is Pedro Rodriguez, and I've lived in New York City for over 2 decades. I'm speaking in full support of Intro 1138. I live in Forest Hills, Queens, and I'm a member of Community Board 6 and part of the Transportation Committee, though I am speaking for myself. My community board is one of the boards that voted unanimously for universal daylighting. As a parent, I am constantly worried of my child being run over when trying to cross the street. Trying to cross the street on a crosswalk in a stroller in front of me. That's something that every parent has to deal with. You go to the crosswalk, you stop, you walk next to the next to the stroller and put your head out because you're scared of moving the stroller in because you can't see over it. Now, I am 5'10", so I'm not super tall, but I am high enough that I can see over most vehicles, not all. However, my wife is 4'9", so she's actually cannot see over most vehicles. And so I'm constantly worried about like her getting run over with my son. And she has actually been run over, not run over, but she has actually been almost run over multiple times while just walking around, taking my son to school, to the library, and everything else. I understand that there's some council members and as well as some members of the public who are worried about car owners in the districts and how the reduction in parking might affect them. But I'm a car owner. I live in Forest Hills, and I do drive. I drive often to Eastern Queens, where more often than not, I am hit with non-always stops. So stops where it's only one street has a stop sign. And I constantly worry about getting T-boned because you have to getting really close to the intersection. Look, you can't see still. Keep moving, and then you can go. This is of course dangerous. It's dangerous for the drivers. It's dangerous for everyone.
Thank you. Your time's expired.
So I just want to say thank you for holding this hearing, and please pass 1138.
Next, we'll hear from Daniel Fisher.
You may begin.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, hi, I'm Daniel Fisher and I live in Brooklyn. I'm testifying in support of Intro 1138. A bit about myself, I'm a 6'2" able-bodied man, and even I have a hard time looking past some of these trucks and SUVs that are often parked right up against the crosswalk, if not inside of it. If I have a hard time crossing the street safely, God knows how hard of a time some of my neighbors do, especially those who are mobility impaired, pushing strollers, walking with kids, or what have you. I was very touched and moved by how many of these people have testified today with their own difficulties and stories. I do sometimes drive in my neighborhood, and yes, it might be a bit more annoying to find parking after a couple spots are removed here and there at every intersection. But I would absolutely choose to lose a few parking spots if it meant I could see pedestrians and they no longer need to stand so much closer to moving traffic just so they can cross the street, especially children who might as well be invisible behind parked cars with how big they've gotten recently. Nobody wants to put their neighbors in danger just while driving around. And I definitely think that losing a few parking spots for the safety of our neighbors is the best path forward here. And in regards to the cost of hardening, might I suggest that the DOT plunk down some just really big rocks. They're pretty cheap. We have a famous one in Williamsburg already called the Big Cheese Block. It's painted like a block of cheese, and it keeps a daylighted intersection on Metropolitan and North Fourth. If I remember correctly, it keeps cars away from parking in it. And I would just love to see one on every block if that's what it takes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Michelle Coopersmith.
You may begin.
Michelle, you're unmuted.
You may begin.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Hi, my name is Michelle Coopersmith. I'm a resident of the Lower East Side. I'm also a car owner, but like the majority of New Yorkers, I am primarily a pedestrian, which is how I found myself walking around during my Thanksgiving break senior year of college. I was crossing an intersection near my dad's apartment, and a taxi making a right turn ran over my feet. And I fell backwards. They thought I was wearing boots, and I was unharmed. But I still have nightmares about what would have happened if I had been 1 inch forward during that situation, and whether I would have been one of the sad stories that people were referring to today to ask our city council to do the right thing and pass Intro 1138 to implement universal daylighting in New York City, which, as many speakers before have already said, is the law of the land in our state, but we have exempted ourselves from it. Also, my grandmother lived every day to see the street because she is like 4'9", and you cannot see her if you are not looking hard enough. So I just want to reiterate what everyone has said, that let's save ourselves from ourselves and do the right thing here, and universal daylighting so that this can be safer. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Vishnu Yakola Reddy.
You may begin.
They are not on Zoom.
Next, we'll ask for Amelia DeCowden.
You may begin.
Is Amelia on?
Thank you. I wasn't able to unmute myself. Hello, my name is Amelia. I'm a resident of Long Island City, Queens, a pedestrian and a biker. No one on this call, in this hearing room, in the city of New York doesn't somehow use intersections. If you are a pedestrian, you cross the street through an intersection. If you're a driver, you drive through one. If you're a biker, you drive through them. Maybe you need to walk your bike through them, or you walk to a city bike through them, etc. That means that everyone here in the city is at risk every time they cross through a non-daylighted intersection, and that with risk that wouldn't be there, unnecessary risk, if those intersections were daylighted. I think that we've had a lot of people say some very smart things on this call, so I'm just going to repeat the point that it would really be negligent not to pass this bill, especially if the only reason for doing so is to placate a relatively small number of car owners who can always find another parking space. I live in a building with a lot of car owners. My wife drives. We don't own a car, but she does drive. And finding a parking space is difficult sometimes. It's easier other times. And if we were to have universal daylighting, it might be a little more difficult, but it wouldn't be impossible. And I think that that inconvenience, at worst, is worth saving many, many lives and protecting many, many New Yorkers, which again, is anyone here. If you're a driver, you benefit from this. If you're a pedestrian, you benefit from this. If you're a biker, you benefit from this. So I really want to urge this committee, this council to pass this bill and to really hold DOT to implementing it, regardless of who the mayor is or ends up being. It's a matter of saving lives, and it's a matter of helping New Yorkers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Andrew Matsuoka.
You may begin.
Hi, my name is Andrew Matsuoka. I live in Fort Greene in Brooklyn in Council District 35. I'm here today to testify in support of Intro 1138. I really hope that New York City can take the step to introduce universal daylighting across the entire city. It's a common sense safety street measure that would significantly increase visibility at intersections. In my neighborhood in Fort Greene, as folks have mentioned, there was a young boy that was killed just north of Fort Greene Park. I think it was 2 years ago. That one intersection did receive daylighting. I believe that there were cars parked at that intersection when that crash happened. The response makes it very clear that that's the type of treatment that so many of these intersections need. However, just down the street, they didn't do any of them. And so where the need is exactly the same. And so universal daylighting would help prevent such a tragedy from happening again. And passing this legislation will save lives in the future. It would also make our neighborhoods more pleasant and welcoming. Like how often are the crosswalks blocked by cars squeezing in? We need to peek around some truck to make sure there's no oncoming traffic. It also opens up more space for people, whether that's benches or green spaces or places to park bikes so they don't have to be on the sidewalk. I urge the council to pass Intro 1138 quickly. We can't, New Yorkers can't afford to wait on life-saving changes like this. I thank my council member, Crystal Hudson, for supporting this measure, as well as Chair Brooks Powers and Council Member Wan for introducing it. And I urge other members of the council to vote yes on this life-saving bill. Hopefully that means that, we won't have to be attending.
Thank you. Time's expired.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Matthew Dennis.
You may begin.
I'm asking you to unmute. Matthew?
Hello. Hi, I'm Matt Denny's, and I live in Flatbush, Brooklyn, and I'm here to voice my strong support for passing Intro 1138 for universal daylighting. Daylighting is a simple change that's proven to save lives, and we need that because hundreds of New Yorkers are killed in crashes every year. Each of those deaths is a preventable tragedy. We should be doing everything we can to get that number down to zero, and universal daylighting is the obvious next step. It's easy to see why universal daylighting would help, because at intersections, it needs to be easy for drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists to all be able to see each other. It's not only essential for safety, it also just makes getting around a bit easier for all of us. On top of that, universal daylighting would also give us a little space on every block that could be used to improve our neighborhoods in any number of ways. Personally, I'd love to see daylighting on my block get built out as rain gardens to help with the flooding that we get in every big rainstorm. And there are many other options here to fit the needs of neighborhoods all across the city. I urge the council to pass this bill and then to stick with it over the coming years to hold the DOT and the mayor's office accountable for building the accompanying infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Jeffrey Thomas.
You may begin.
Jeffrey is not on right now.
Next, we'll hear from William Junn.
You may begin.
Hello, my name is William Junn, and I'm a senior staff attorney with the Disability Justice Program at New York Lawyers for the Public Interest. We're here to support Intro 1138. Improving visibility at intersections is important for pedestrian safety, especially for people with disabilities. While we support this bill, any daylighting must be done correctly and not compromise accessibility for people with disabilities. We've seen concrete blocks and planters installed in ways that block or narrow access to curb cuts and crosswalk. For example, reported to the DOT a large concrete block placed directly in the middle of a curb cut in this intersection right in front of Penn Station. It took the DOT almost 6 months to move it to a proper location. For that entire time, people using wheelchairs could not access the curb cut and were forced into the roadway to cross the street directly alongside moving traffic. That's why we strongly urge the council to require the DOT to ensure that all daylighting barriers are installed in compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act and other accessibility laws. At a minimum, the DOT's annual daylighting report must include a description of whether the daylighting barriers provide full street access for people with disabilities. Moreover, any complaint regarding daylighting barriers should be addressed urgently. It should never take 6 months to remove a barrier that blocks access to streets and sidewalks. These issues are not minor inconveniences. They are immediate threats to public safety and violations of disabled New Yorkers' right to accessible streets and sidewalks. Daylighting should be daylighting for all, including people with disabilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jeffrey Thomas.
You may begin.
Hi, sorry, I just caught my unmute button. My name is Jeffrey Thomas. I'm a resident of Brooklyn. I support Intro 1138 for universal daylighting, and I will give you 2 quick reasons why, because I know it's been a long hearing. First, of course, this is already New York state law. As the council knows, the city has an exception to this law. It's not just unfair, it doesn't even make any sense. Every intersection, every other city, town, village in the state, big, small, how many few cars they have, has this design in place for safety, for visibility, so you can see what's going around the corner before you enter the intersection, whether you're driving, walking, biking, or whatever. New York City, with its busier and more chaotic and more dangerous streets, does not do this. You get on the LIR in Hempstead or somewhere, and you will see bulb outs and no parking here to corner signs outside the Hempstead station. You get on the train, you walk out of Atlantic Terminal, and you won't. It doesn't make any sense. And the other reason, a lot of people have already mentioned being able to see vehicles and have them see you, whether you're crossing the street as a child or a short person with a stroller, with a wheelchair. And I'd like to add something else from my experience riding a bike. There's one thing that worries me riding a bike in the city more than anything else, which is getting trapped under a box truck or some other kind of tall turning vehicle. I looked up the stats once, and an incredibly high number of bicyclist deaths were from exactly this, because if there's a box truck and it starts turning and you're in the blind spot, you have nowhere to go. You can't get ahead of the truck. You can't move out of the way because there's a parked car to your side. You can't jump off your bike and try to stay above the car, because it's a truck that's got a flat side. There's only one place you can go, which is under the vehicle, and you get crushed and you die. There's nothing you can do. And I try so hard when I'm on my bike to either stay fully ahead or fully behind box trucks, but we're both moving. That's not a strategy. That's not something that's going to keep me safe. That's not something that's going to keep everyone safe. Universal daylighting means right where the trucks are going to be turning, there is some room to physically get out of the way if you end up in the wrong place at the wrong time. So this is a safety measure that's going to be the difference between, in the worst case, someone losing their bike.
Your time's expired.
I'm sorry?
Your time's expired.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all the support from the council members.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from CJ Bertillon.
You may begin.
Okay, hi. Thank you to my council member, Julie Wan, and the rest of the Transportation Committee for holding this meeting. My name is Chong Bretion. I'm a long-time resident of, oh, sorry. Okay, now you can see me. I'm a long-time resident.
No, put it back.
Wait, you can see me now or no?
We can see you, but we saw the cute puppy too.
Oh yeah, thank you, finally. You know, I was considering putting some non-daylit intersections, but I thought I'll go with the dog, earn me some brownie points. Anyway, one of the reasons, my primary reason for supporting this legislation is my concern for the children in my neighborhood. I'm a mom and I live down the block from two schools, one of which serves newly arrived immigrant children, and I live around the corner from a daycare that serves low-income families. Day after day, I witness students or caregivers with little kids in strollers standing in the middle of the street just so they can see around the corners, whether a vehicle is blasting down so they can cross safely. In addition, the drivers of these vehicles, they also have to pull straight in the middle of the intersection so they can see if another driver is coming towards them. This is because we allow in New York City drivers to park their cars right up until the corners and edge into the crosswalks. SUVs comprise about 60% of all the cars in New York City. And so when these massive dark metal boxes are parked close to the corner, they obstruct visibility and impede safe crossing. We tell kids since day one, you got to look both ways before you cross the street, but they can't even do that because they can't see. It shouldn't be, you know, lurch into the intersection and then see if someone's coming towards you. So we need to design our streets and our curbs considering the most vulnerable road users in mind, and that's always pedestrians. Everybody walks at some point in the city, no matter how you get around. So I therefore urge the council to please—
Thank you. Time's expired.
There's nothing more important than saving lives. Please don't let us down. People have nowhere to park. Oh, well, that's not a reason to force kids in the middle of a street. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Tony Malone.
You may begin.
Hi, thank you very much for holding this hearing. My name is Tony Malone. I am a member of Brooklyn's Community Board 6 on the Transportation Committee, and I'm proud to say that Community Board 6 has voted to support universal daylighting. And I support it because we can't wait when there are 250 traffic deaths per year, and climate change is also not going to wait for us to transition away from polluting cars. We shouldn't have to go to every community board for approval for something as basic as universal daylighting. The DOT said earlier in this hearing that daylighting without hard barriers can make intersections less safe, but they didn't point to the reason for that, that drivers in New York City will park anywhere, even on sidewalks or in the crosswalk, and the NYPD mostly looks the other way. This has gotten worse in recent years. When I owned a car years ago, I once got a ticket for parking 12 feet instead of 15 feet from a hydrant. But now I see cops drive right by when cars are parked in the crosswalk. So I think we can do two things at once. DOT can ramp up the installation of physical barriers that keep cars from parking where they shouldn't, and city agencies, including the NYPD, can work together to encourage better behavior by drivers. We can use both carrots and sticks, creating incentives for New Yorkers to use transit or ride bikes, and increasing enforcement against drivers who refuse to follow the rules and put us all in danger. And we've seen the success of congestion pricing, that a well-designed program can benefit everyone and change people's behavior. I think universal daylighting can do the same. When we make it safer and easier to walk, to take transit, or to ride a bike or a scooter, then more people will feel comfortable living in our city without owning a car, and we'll all benefit as a result. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Patrick Thomas Schnell.
You may begin.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm testifying in favor of Intro 1138, and thank you very much to Councilmember Juan for introducing this bill. My name is Patrick Schnell. I'm a pediatrician and have been living in New York City for over 30 years. I ride my bike daily on the streets of New York City and have witnessed several crashes this year alone that I feel were at least partly attributable to the lack of daylighting. Historically, decision makers have done very little for road safety with predictable results. Apparently, we do not really care about New Yorkers and particularly children's lives, and place a higher value on the convenience of drivers. As it is, drivers are already incredibly privileged because with their ever-larging vehicles, they are taking up vast amounts of space while creating noise pollution and harming us with toxic exhaust fumes. Perhaps it is finally time to ensure that they stop slaughtering us and our children. What is more important to us? Additional parking spaces which only encourage car ownership and therefore worsen traffic, worsen air pollution, worsen noise pollution, and increase the risk of injury and death? Or are we finally committing to protect New Yorkers and children from getting killed by implementing daylighting on every single intersection in New York City? Hardened daylighting has been proven to reduce the frequency of injuries and fatalities for pedestrians. If decision makers ignore these established facts and fail to take action, then these decision makers are complicit in the ongoing slaughter on our streets. As a pediatrician, father, and New Yorker, I'm asking this council to pass Intro 1138 and DOT to implement at least 1,000 hardened daylighted intersections in New York City every year starting this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Bill Cryer.
You may begin.
Hi, my name is Bill Cryer. I live in Inwood with my wife and 2 young children, ages 1 and 5. I support Intro 1138, and I would like to thank my council member, Carmen De La Rosa, for sponsoring this bill. As a parent, I cross the street many times a day with my young children, often with a stroller. When cars are parked next to the crosswalk, it's difficult to see oncoming traffic, and it's difficult for drivers to see us. I have to do all kinds of awkward maneuvers to see around parked cars while keeping my 5-year-old and my stroller out of harm's way. Red lights and stop signs are no guarantee of safety, as cars often roll into the crosswalk or disregard stops entirely. In fact, without daylighting, drivers often have to drive onto the crosswalk just to see cross traffic. As my children grow older, I hope I can give them more independence. My daughter looks up to the middle school kids who go to school all on their own. But the thought of either of my kids being hit by a car terrifies me. As cars have become larger, faster, and heavier, they've become harder to see around and more likely to kill when they hit a pedestrian. We need to make sure all pedestrians can see and be seen when they're crossing the street. Of course, hardened daylighting is more effective, so I hope DOT can implement that and many other street safety improvements quickly and efficiently so my children and all New York City residents can benefit. I also hope the city can implement a rational parking policy that accounts for the scarcity and value of public street space. I've seen parking used as a reason to oppose everything from street safety to housing to waste containerization. In conclusion, please vote in favor of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Rosa Chan.
Hello, thank you very much. My name is Rosa Chang, and I am the president of Gotham Park. I'm also a member of Community Board 1, and I am also a mom, but I'm speaking today to represent myself. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of daylighting Intro 1138. For those of our neighbors and family members who use wheelchairs and walkers to get around, strollers for our babies, and for those who are simply shorter, like me, or all our young children, we simply cannot see or be seen around the myriad of vehicles which park or obstruct our crosswalks, the vast majority of which seem to grow larger every single year. Gotham Park was fortunate to have major intersections around our newly opened and expanding space repaired and improved with daylighting at several intersections where we had 55 reported injuries over 4 years. We are extremely thankful to DOT for implementing this safety measure, as we have over 10,000 local older adults in our community, as well as over 8,000 younger aspiring adults, otherwise known as students of all ages. What we have learned pre and post daylighting is that we can actually see and be seen, which vastly increases our chances of avoiding becoming roadkill or injured. I understand that losing parking spaces is an enormous inconvenience, but why should an unoccupied vehicle be prioritized over the hundreds or thousands of living people actively crossing the street in front of it? Why should simply crossing a street in New York City be an act of bravery? I hope that we can all agree that human health and life is precious. It is our responsibility to protect our most vulnerable as a society, and they should be prioritized over the convenience of few for safety for all. Because once you step out of a car, you are also a pedestrian too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Thomas Nahum Huzi.
You may begin.
Hello, I'm a resident of Brooklyn Community District 2 and a lifelong New Yorker. I believe daylighting should be the law of the land at every corner in New York City, and I support Intro 1138. Our city streets continue to be dangerous despite decades of the Department of Transportation's insistence that their engineering expertise can keep us safe. They published a flawed study and tried to convince us that it should be the final word on daylighting. The boldest claim of all was that improved visibility at intersections would lead to more injuries, a statement so outrageous that it gives away their whole game. Their mandate is to forward the mayor's political agenda to preserve parking at all costs. You, the council, have the opportunity to correct that policy. You are the only ones empowered with the ability to do so, and lives are on the line. Please do not take that responsibility lightly. This council has championed affordability, and I commend you for that. So consider whether the lack of safety on our streets has any impact on climbing medical bills and car insurance rates. A safer city is a more affordable city. We must think holistically about the system that we all live in and abandon the cognitive dissonance that the automobile industry spends so much money to engender. Their lobbyists do not care about our safety, nor our pocketbooks. Our fellow New Yorkers deserve the generational investment that this legislation will deliver. I urge City Council to pass Intro 1138. Thank you for your time.
We'll recess for 5 minutes. Next, we'll hear from Bahij Chansey.
You may begin.
Next, we'll hear from Jason Stahl.
Jason, you're unmuted. Jason, you're unmuted. He's not responding.
Next, Andon Keller.
You may begin.
They are offline.
Ayo Shanti.
Yeah, hello. I want to thank Chairman Brooks, Chairwoman Brooks, and Representative Julie Wan. I am definitely in support of 1148, and I'm a native New Yorker, octogenarian, and so I'm very aware of all the situations. It's not just in my neighborhood. I'm from Jackson Heights, but I was coming home from work. This was quite a while ago, and I had to cross Second Avenue at 67th Street, and the truck was right up to the corner. There was no way he could see me, and I was trying to cross the street, and a car hit me, and I landed right in front of the truck's wheels. Luckily, I wasn't totally knocked unconscious, and I was able to get myself out because I would have been totally crushed. That was a very scary situation and can happen anytime, anywhere. I'm on 35th Avenue, and they have done the, I'm not sure what it's called, but they extend the corner so that you can't park up to the corner, and that has made a huge difference. They do need to, however you work it, you need to, where the hydrants are and where the bus stops are, you need to do something about it because people don't pay attention to the hydrants, as we all know. And also the bus stops do not work as, does not work for the pedestrian.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next, we'll hear from Jeff Schwain.
You may begin.
Jeff is not on. Next person would be Thomas Reingold, I believe.
You may begin.
Thank you. I had some prepared remarks, but they were redundant with things that other people said, so I'll say something a little bit different. If we choose not to enact daylighting, it's because we place other things as a higher priority than life. We make a trade-off in this matter, whether or not we realize it. The trade-off is like a seesaw. One goes up, the other will go down. I'm not saying we should make parking a zero priority, but we can reduce parking to the point where we are not knowingly and willingly endangering life. It's not enough for people to say we don't want people to die. No, to say we can't enable daylighting because of the effect it would have on parking is to say that losing a few lives is a price worth paying for our mobility. I can't accept that. The reason I object to this argument is that we're facing a choice where we know what the outcome will be, where we know that one of the choices is to allow deaths to continue or to rise. This is not a choice we should make knowingly. We know what works. We can choose it. If we don't choose it, we're choosing death. Thank you.
Next is Tony Malone.
You may begin.
He's not on Zoom.
Zlatko Dimitrovsky.
You may begin.
He's not on.
Rachel O'Brien.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to testify. I'm a resident of Staten Island. I'm testifying today, obviously, in support of this bill. I'm a mother and a driver. It defies logic to allow a carve out for New York City, where we have more pedestrians than anywhere else in the state. Where I live, most people drive. And some may say this bill is anti-car, but it's not. When you're driving on streets where there's street parking, you have to inch into the intersection to see past the lines of cars that are parked right up to the corner. You often can't see more than a few feet until you're in the intersection and you're putting yourself and others in danger. It's dangerous to pedestrians and to drivers when you can't see where you're headed. So if people don't want to lose a few parking spots, they should consider that last year there were 57,000 injuries in the city. So that means you likely know someone who's been injured by a vehicle. I know I do. So think about that person when you're thinking about this issue. It's not faceless, it's real people dying and being injured. While some parking will be eliminated, this bill is not anti-car. It will help drivers avoid collisions. So I urge you to pass the law to improve visibility for drivers and for those walking and biking. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Rohit Kumar.
You may begin.
Hi, my name is Rohit and I live in downtown Brooklyn. I'm a pedestrian and a cyclist, but beyond this, I support this bill because I believe it'll benefit everyone and we have a shared duty as New Yorkers to protect each other. Far too often, I find myself crossing an intersection with poor visibility due to parked cars, fearful that even though I'm crossing legally and with the right of way, a distracted driver might maim or kill me. My heart breaks when I read about that very same fear being realized for someone else. I cannot bear another dead neighbor, another grieving family, another preventable accident happening on our watch. It doesn't have to be like this. I'm excited for the opportunity in front of City Council. We can decide what kind of a city we want to be. I urge you to do the right thing and pass Bill 1138 to protect New Yorkers at every intersection in every neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Ryan Kreisman.
You may begin.
He's not responding to the mute request.
Next, we'll do Shauna Marluck.
You may begin.
Hi, thanks for giving me the time to testify. My name is Shauna Morlock. I am a Democratic district leader in Assembly District 34. But other than that, I'm also a mom. I am a driver. I am a cyclist. I'm a pedestrian. So I'm seeing this from a lot of different angles. But the thing that kind of sticks out to me the most is that a couple of years ago, a child who went to a neighboring school to my child, PS 85, her name was Dolma, killed by a driver in an intersection at a playground that like my child regularly plays at. And fairly recent popularity of taller and heavier SUVs has made it especially dangerous and more likely for children of our city to be killed in intersections just like this child was. Our kids in New York City, like they deserve the same safety measures as the kids in Albany and Buffalo and Long Island and Westchester. Like all of the children in the rest of the state are prioritized, and our kids are not, for the convenience of drivers. You know, and I can't imagine the devastation of the person who also hit this child, who might not have had she had more of a line of sight in order to see this child. It's tearing apart families all over the city to continuously ignore the safety measures that could be easily implemented if it weren't for the convenience of car drivers like myself. I would gladly take the extra time to find parking if it meant the safety of my neighbors as well as my own child and my own family. So I thank you for having me, and yeah, I'll give up the rest of my time.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Ryan Bartho.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for hearing my testimony. I'm a member of Bronx Community Board 8, speaking in support of Intro 1138 for myself. DOT's own quarterly serious injury tracker consistently shows that the most common way for a pedestrian to be injured by a car is in daylight, legally crossing in a crosswalk. I'm about 6 feet tall, so a relatively tall person, and I'm frequently unable to see if vehicles are coming down the street without actually stepping into it. When I'm traveling with one or both of my children, one of whom is still in a stroller, I must either bring them into the street with me with the stroller leading, or leave them on the sidewalk corner, check the street, go get them, and then by the time I've gotten them, the situation may have changed. This intervention's a rare one that can help everyone, but it disproportionately affects the most vulnerable road users like children and folks with disabilities. The hardened daylighting required by this bill is especially important as NYPD is unable to enforce the laws we already have around street parking, as evidenced by epidemic bike lane and other illegal parking. This needs to be self-enforcing rather than relying on active enforcement. The lack of daylighting and cars parking right up to or in the crosswalk forces vehicles to drive further into the crosswalk rather than legally stopping at the stop bar to see if people are waiting to cross or if cross traffic's coming. And this directly contributes to the statistics made public by the DOT. Pedestrians who are hit by cars are not jumping out from between cars in the middle of the night. They're crossing legally in a crosswalk. Only hardened daylighting can begin to address this problem. And I want to echo what one of the other speakers said, that we're making a choice. Either people get hurt or people have more convenient parking. So I hope you'll pass Intro 1138. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Benjamin Tucker.
You may begin.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ben Tucker, and I'm a resident of Bushwick, Brooklyn. I want to start by thanking Committee Chair Councilmember Brooks Powers for holding this hearing today and for allowing me to share my testimony today. I'm here today in support of Intro 1138 for universal daylighting. I also want to say thank you to Councilmember Julie Wan for sponsoring the bill, and to my council member in District 34, Jennifer Gutierrez, who is a co-sponsor of the bill. To put it as simply as possible, daylighting makes every New Yorker more safe by increasing the visibility in every intersection if we were to pass universal daylighting. According to the New York City DOT, more than half of all traffic crashes and half of traffic fatalities happen at an intersection. Last year, traffic crashes killed 253 people in New York City. That's 253 people that we lost. These were people's parents, their children, their friends, and their neighbors. So no matter what mode of transportation we use, we all suffer from this preventable loss of life. And conversely, we would all benefit from safer intersections. I also feel it would be helpful to mention I'm a member of Brooklyn CB4 and I'm a co-chair of my board's transportation committee. I'm here as an individual representing myself, but I think it's important to highlight that as a board, we weighed in on this and there was a consensus that was reached by people on the board who some were car owners, some were not. But we all agree that there's a better use of city space in many instances than parking spaces. Bushwick suffers from flooding, and daylighting can mitigate flooding by replacing a parking spot with infrastructure that could contribute to rainwater runoff draining. It's not just the safety aspect. It can beautify your neighborhood. It could be a better use of space. There could be bike racks that could be moved off of and city bike racks that could be moved off of the street parking area that would allow the sidewalks to be utilized better. And generally speaking, we reached a pretty good consensus on that. And we became one of 22 community boards citywide that weighed in support of
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Michael Kess.
Hello?
We can hear you, Michael.
Hi, my name is Michael Cass and I'm a resident of Morris Park in the Bronx. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I just wanted to express my support for Intro 1138. This is a very simple bill. Most crashes in New York City occur in intersections, and this bill will improve visibility around every intersection by default so that folks can spot each other sooner as they approach the intersection, whether they are a pedestrian, motorist, or cyclist. I think many New Yorkers understand the experience of having to lean over and peek our heads out to see if there's any oncoming traffic at an intersection, because we can't see over large SUVs or trucks parked near the crosswalk. And I think most folks get it. Even my local community board, Bronx Community Board 11, supported a daylighting resolution, which is amazing for that community board. Shout out to Ryan Barthel, who testified earlier, for getting that through. New York state law already prohibits parking within 20 feet of a crosswalk, with New York City being the exception. This bill will bring New York City in line with the rest of the state. Lastly, I want to specifically thank the members of the Bronx delegation that co-sponsored this bill. Thank you, Farina Sanchez, Oswald Feliz, and Diana Ayala. I was paying attention to who would be the first from the Bronx to support this bill, and I appreciate them. Thanks again.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Richard Parker.
You may begin.
Hi, yeah, I'm Richard Parker from, I live in Greenpoint, and I live right around the corner from McGolrick Park and McCarran Park. I have a second grade daughter who is about 4 feet tall, and I'm looking forward to the time when she's going to be able to start exploring the city a little bit more on her own. But I'm really comfortable with letting her around the neighborhood, in a couple of years, but our neighborhood is very safe except for the traffic. And it terrifies me just the thought of her trying to cross streets here. She can't see over cars. And in order for her to get out to take a look to see if anything's coming, she has to actually walk out into the street. And it's not safe. And, we keep saying that kids these days need to get off their screens and get out and, like old times, get out in the playgrounds and, meet with each other, go to their friends' houses and whatnot. And we can't give them that freedom if they can't be safe crossing the streets. It's just terrible. And so we know what's going to happen if this isn't passed. If we don't have daylighting, there's going to be more deaths. And it's important for us to do what we know is best and in the best interest of our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Rose Uskianowski.
You may begin.
Hello, and thank you for the chance to speak today. My name is Rose Ushanowski, and I'm the Staten Island and South Brooklyn organizer with Transportation Alternatives. I'm also a lifelong New Yorker and resident of St. George. I speak as both, as I support Intro 1138, quite simply because daylighting a handful of intersections haphazardly each year, as per the current norm, is simply not working in already ignored outer boroughs. that already have the least infrastructure and investment. Implementing daylighting universally ensures better safety and more equity around how streets are treated throughout New York City. My background is not a cute puppy or a pretty intersection. Instead, it's an example of what happens when life-saving treatments are not implemented on all of our streets. This headline followed a 2022 crash on a quiet residential street that never would have been chosen for daylighting based on past data. However, when all streets aren't designed with safety in mind, tragedy can happen in the most unlikely places. In this crash, a turning driver was unable to see a mother crossing the street with her young child due to a large white van parked at the intersection. As you can see, the child didn't make it. These kinds of crashes happen way too often, and they can be easily rectified with life-saving treatments at intersections, the locations where crashes happen. And I think that life-saving solutions are a better use of our intersection space than empty vehicles. Thank you, and I will cede the remainder of my time.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Samir Lavingia.
You may begin.
Perfect. Hello, my name is Samir Lavingia. I'm speaking on behalf of Manhattan Community Board 5. I'm the vice chair of the Transportation and Environment Committee. And, Manhattan Community Board 5 covers, a large area of Midtown Manhattan, including Penn Station, Grand Central Station, and many parks. We created a task force last year and had experts and community board members and members of the public testify around daylighting, and distilled that into a resolution and passed a resolution in June of last year. And I wanted to summarize some of the points made. Despite the city's intention to eliminate traffic violence, we have a huge threat which diminishes the ability of our community members, including seniors and children, to move around the neighborhood freely and independently. And we need to start by improving safety, by increasing visibility at intersections. The New York State law recognizes this and prohibits parking within 20 feet of an intersection, and there's clear evidence that visibility impairments cause injury and death, with 79% of pedestrian injuries and 55% of fatalities happening at these intersections. While we believe that daylighting is most successful when a spot is hardened, we also believe that the DOT should follow New York State law and daylight all intersections. As we've seen in the past, sometimes this requires the council to force their hand, which is what Intro 1138 would do. This isn't just about safety. We can use these spaces for daylighting to install bike racks, planters, and maybe even some seating to create a welcoming and safe space for all New Yorkers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Jason Stahl.
You may begin.
Hi, thank you for taking my testimony. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. I'm a resident of Sunnyside, Queens, Councilman One's district. I'd like to thank her for sponsoring Intro 1138. I think it's long overdue. I think I missed my first testimony window as I was walking to Key Food and avoiding several cars that were parked in the crosswalk around the fire station at Woodside Warriors. I think that on the subject of the issues of parking at the expense of universal daylighting, I think it's important to remember that parking scarcity, in my experience, creates aggressive driving in of itself. And so I think the marginal increase in scarcity of parking as a result of making universal daylighting possible is not going to be felt to the extent that the benefits of universal daylighting in making it safer for pedestrians, of which I am one, of cyclists, of which I am also one, and then of drivers, and I occasionally do rent a car in New York City, would be beneficial for everyone, no matter their district or how much of a transit desert or not it may be. So I hope that the council will pass with alacrity Intro 1138. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Lewis Anderson.
You may begin.
My name is Lewis and I live in Bed-Stuy. I am testifying in full support of Intro 1138. I walk and bike around my neighborhood daily. I have experienced near collisions at intersections too many times to count, simply because a parked vehicle has obstructed my view of oncoming traffic. I strongly support this bill for countless reasons: prioritizing accessibility, allocating street space fairly and proportionately, and encouraging sustainable modes of transportation, to name a few. But there is no greater example of nonsensical street space allocation than a parked car at an intersection, obstructing views of oncoming traffic, forcing everyone to leave their safety to fate. To illustrate how nonsensical it is that we allow parking at intersections, I would like you to picture this situation in reverse. Imagine if every intersection in New York City was currently daylit with a sidewalk extension, allowing pedestrians to safely stand partway into the street with a clear view of oncoming traffic, and then cross with confidence. Some of these sidewalk extensions might even be equipped with seating, bike racks, or tree pits that provide vital stormwater absorption in neighborhoods prone to flooding. Now imagine that we're at a council hearing to remove all of these sidewalk extensions, along with all of their benefits, only to add one more parking spot per block to the city's stock of on-street parking spots, which already equals about 1.5 times the total number of cars registered in the city. In the first 9 months of 2024, almost 200 New Yorkers were killed by traffic violence. 88 of these were pedestrians, 77 of whom were killed at intersections without daylighting. If you are considering not supporting this bill, I would like you to imagine all of these victims and their families in front of you when you announce to your constituents that you oppose these life-saving streetscape improvements in favor of publicly funded private storage for just one car per city block. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Robert Price.
You may begin.
Hello, my name's Robert Price. I live in Brooklyn, and I'm in strong support of Intro 1138 and universal daylighting in general. I'm a parent of 2 middle schoolers, 11 and 13, and they walk around my neighborhood in Brooklyn. And I find it incredibly stressful and scary when they cross the streets on their own. They leave school, they live in Windsor Terrace, or they go to school in Windsor Terrace, and it's a 20-minute walk from our house with multiple intersections. And so many cars park all the way up to the crosswalks and make it impossible for them. Sometimes they ride their scooters around or their skateboards, and this idea of them riding out into the street and a car swinging around another parked car because they can't see and hitting them just is traumatizing on so many levels. Thank you for taking the time to hear my testimony. And again, I'm in strong support of Intro 1138, and please pass this universal daylighting. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Vincent Valdemanis.
You may begin.
Thank you, Chair Brooks Powers, Councilwoman Wan, and members of the committee for convening the hearing. My name is Vincent Valdemanis, and I'm here to express strong support for the 1138 daylighting bill. And I'd like to thank my city council member, Lincoln Ressler, for signing on as a co-sponsor, as well as our local community board here in North Brooklyn. I'm a resident of Greenpoint, and I commute most days to East Midtown by subway and foot. The busiest branch library in Brooklyn is on my block. We have a lot of kids, strollers, community groups at the library who are forced to stand out in the street and cannot see around parked cars. The cars are parked right up to the crosswalk. And there's particular value in doing this daylighting universally. New Yorkers cross intersections that are new or unfamiliar to them every day, and so do drivers. And having this as a design across the city is really the right way to go. I myself was hit by an SUV while I was crossing Central Park West at night, far from where I lived. The driver didn't see me, and I certainly did not see him. And I ended up on the hood of the SUV. The FDNY took me to the emergency room. There were a lot of associated medical bills, insurance, hospital costs, etc., all of which was avoidable. daylighting is common sense. When drivers and pedestrians can see each other, they avoid crashes. It's as simple as that. Every parent teaches this to their kid. Daylighting is already the law of the state. But in New York City, where more than half of all households do not own a car, we've decided not to do it. It defies common sense. So we have the opportunity to correct this mistake. 22 community boards have passed resolutions in support. 85 elected officials, half of all of New York electeds have expressed support. So let's follow common sense. Let's implement policy that is already law, and let's save lives.
Thank you. Nicole Murray.
You may begin.
Hi, my name is Nicole. I live in Fort Greene. I'm also on the community board as a member of the Transportation and Public Safety Committee, and we did release a resolution in support of universal daylighting. Someone did mention, I think in this neighborhood, a child, Kamari Hughes, who was killed in a crosswalk by a driver, a tow truck. I do want to say that that driver said in their statement that they could not see Kamari because the intersection was not daylit. So they ran and killed this child. So I asked those city council people who live in districts where they might think parking is more important than children's lives is, if it hasn't already happened in your district, it will. People will be killed in your crosswalks and intersections if something isn't to be done about this. And so this is your opportunity as lawmakers, as people who do funding and budgeting, to prevent these from happening. So if you don't pass this, it will happen. It may still happen if we do, but we will significantly reduce lost lives of pedestrians, bikers, children, elderly, disabled, everyone. I also want to add that it's a good thing for drivers as well to be able to see all corners, whether you're in a bus, car, a scooter, anything. There isn't any place I know of where once daylighting is implemented, people don't like it. It is great for everybody. It saves lives. Everyone likes it. Everyone can see. And as a final word on the DOT's report, I want to take it in as a generous interpretation that they're in supporting of daylighting plus, right? If we need to find funding to do flex posts in the road, like we did on it's Flushing, turning onto Williamsburg Street, the DOT added a few flex posts so cars would turn wider. I don't know how much that cost, but I don't think it was $3 billion or whatever it was. There are quick treatments to put in the street that we can do in a matter of days, if not weeks, to make turning wider. That's a very easy problem to fix. So again, city council people who are on the fence or against, I ask you, what are you going to do to support saving lives, getting better streets for everyone, drivers, pedestrians, cyclists, everyone in your district? Please vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Kathleen Collins.
You may begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Collins, and I'm a native New Yorker who is a congenital quadruple amputee who uses a wheelchair. I'm a member of several disability organizations and also on the board of Disabled in Action. I agree with the testimony already given by Jean Ryan, Monica Bartley, and Evan Yankee. We do support daylighting, provided that it is done correctly and does not hamper or obstruct New Yorkers with disabilities' ability to easily and safely cross streets and intersections in New York City, as well as our ability to board and disembark from vehicles such as taxis for hire vehicles and Access-a-Ride. Unfortunately, in the past, when the New York City DOT has chosen daylighting barriers, such as concrete barrier blocks, sometimes the DOT has placed them in areas that they do obstruct pedestrian ramps, sidewalk curbs, and the ability of New Yorkers with disabilities to safely board and disembark from vehicles. Thus, the proposed legislation we submit needs to require DOT to create and implement a plan that not only prevents this mistake from being made in the future, but also provides that these barriers are placed in optimum locations, that is, places that both promote safety and provide all pedestrians the ability to easily cross streets, as well as safely board and disembark from vehicles. Thank you for thank you for your time today.
And that's the second time seeing you. So thank you for engaging. I love New Yorkers like you. Engage. Thank you. The next is Kat Morano.
May begin.
Hi, good afternoon. I am strongly in favor of daylighting, and I do have a couple of anecdotes that I'd like to share. About 5 years ago, I was running in Brooklyn. My husband and I currently live in Fort Greene, and I was living in Brooklyn Heights at the time. I came to a crosswalk where the visibility was obstructed. The walk signal was active, so I began running across the street when an SUV rolled through the light. I rolled onto the car. I was luckily not seriously injured, though it was very traumatic, especially given that the driver actually drove away. Had I had additional visibility, I do not think that that would have happened. Additionally, and I believe this was already mentioned by Nicole, where my husband and I live in Fort Greene, there was a child that was killed crossing the street on their way to school a couple of years ago. They were struck by a tow truck and killed instantly. And as of course also mentioned by Nicole, the driver did believe that had the daylighting bill been active in New York City, that that would not have occurred. So we could have avoided the death of a small child who was just on their way to school, which was obviously very traumatic for the community and the child's family. I personally believe that daylighting is not something that should be questioned at all. Given safer streets shouldn't be something that's up for argument. We need to protect the citizens of New York City, specifically those who are vulnerable, like children and seniors and people with disabilities. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I have guest one. The name is not on. Guest one, are you still there?
You may begin.
You did not
guest
have
one
name.
is in guest one. You're in the attendees. I'm not unsure if you want to testify. I'm going to unmute you. No response. They're calling in. So, here we go.
Hi, thanks. Sorry about that. I just realized I'm guest one. Hi,
okay.
This is Michael Pugh. I live in the Upper East Side, and I support Intro 1138. I moved to New York City in part because it's a great walkable city, and many New Yorkers can live here comfortably without a car. But unfortunately, one of the few uncomfortable things in the city, right, is that's one of the most dangerous things we do is being a pedestrian and crossing the street. And this is mostly and the easiest thing to make this experience better for pedestrians, which many of us are all at some point, even if we do drive, is to have universal daylighting and make the intersections safer and make the city safer for all New Yorkers, including drivers. Thank you. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Thank you for testimony. And about guest two, are you still on?
Guest two, you're unmuted. Unsure if they're responding. They're also calling in.
Hello,
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we could hear you.
Hi, my name is Mauricio. I'm from Queens. I've been born and raised in New York City my whole life. I'm here to talk about my support for Intro to 1138. I want to thank Councilmember Julie Wong for sponsoring Intro 1138 and for taking a stand on street safety. The bill isn't just smart policy, it's urgent. I was a former EMTB. I'm a cyclist, I'm a pedestrian, I also drive, and I've seen firsthand the damage that happens when visibility at intersections is treated like an afterthought. I've responded to scenes where a turn-in driver couldn't see someone and the person crossing the street couldn't see the driver coming up. I've also lived that daily reality of our streets, navigating corners where parked cars create blind spots and every crossing feels like it's a gamble whether somebody's just gonna roll up and just stop right before they hit you or if you'll get hit this time. Intro 1138 would bring hardened universal daylight into New York City, and it's an effective fix that would save lives. By keeping the space near crosswalks clear, we're giving everybody, drivers, cyclists, pedestrians, a fair chance to be seen. And let's be honest, nobody here likes losing a parking spot, but human lives are more important than parking spaces. If anybody's gonna vote against this bill, you're essentially saying that a parking spot is worth more than a person's life. It's basically like medicine. Drivers may not want it, but at the end of the day, it's good for them because it'll prevent them from taking somebody's life, from possibly getting into a crash with another car or another person or a cyclist or anything else, somebody's pet. I want to thank everybody that sponsored this bill, and I hope that you guys pass Intro to 1138.
I want to say thank you for your testimony. The next is Nicholas Otto. Thank you. Come forward, please.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Nicholas Sato.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you as well.
You may begin.
I live in Williamsburg, and I'm in support of universal daylighting. As a pedestrian, as a cyclist, and occasional driver in the city, I think as a driver, it's important to be able to see around corners at intersections. Otherwise, I'm putting myself in danger by creeping out. As a cyclist, I know the danger that drivers pose to me, and I would like them to be able to see where they're going. And also, as a cyclist, I just like to be able to see where I'm going as well and see what the oncoming traffic. And then as a pedestrian, yeah, I mean, similarly, I would like to know that I am safe and that my community is safe. And beyond just the safety concerns, I think universal daylighting creates more public space for the community, reclaims space that is otherwise taken up by cars unnecessarily. Yeah, so I think those are my main reasons for supporting 1138.
Thank you for your testimony. The next is Vishnu Yakola Reddy.
Hi. Good afternoon. My name is Vishnu Reddy, and I live in Sunnyside, Queens. I'm here today because I strongly support Intro 1138, which would bring universal daylighting to our streets. I'm grateful to see my council member, Julie Won, championing this effort to make our neighborhoods safer and more accessible for everyone. Intersections are where crashes are most likely to happen, and visibility is essential if we want our streets to be safer. When we can't see each other, whether we're walking, biking, or driving, we are all at greater risk. That's why keeping intersections clear of visual obstructions like parked cars isn't just a good idea. It's standard practice in cities all across the US and around the world. Right now, New York State requires daylighting at intersections everywhere except New York City. That exemption doesn't make sense. For a city as pedestrian-oriented as ours, it's shocking that we fall behind places like Houston and Omaha, which are far less known for walkability but have universal daylighting as a standard practice. This isn't just about pedestrians, it's about drivers too. Driving in the city is made harder and more dangerous because of poor sightlines at intersections. Parked cars near corners block visibility and create confusion and bottlenecks. And no driver wants to be in the terrifying position of hitting or even nearly hitting a pedestrian crossing the street. Not to mention that most drivers are also pedestrians at some point or another. Intro 1138 is a well-designed bill because it brings both immediate and long-term solutions. It gives us quick relief by aligning our regulations with most of the country by keeping parked cars away from crosswalks. And it sets the stage for lasting change by requiring the city to build safer, more visible intersections through better infrastructure. Intro 1138 is an excellent bill, but we clearly need to go further than that to keep us safe. We need the mayor and the DOT to implement the streets plan as they're legally mandated to, instead of shirking their responsibility here. And we need to increase our capacity to enforce the regulations we have in place. One of DOT's excuses for opposing Intro 1138 is that we can't guarantee
Your
that
time's
the law will
expired.
be effectively enforced. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one is Chris Sanders.
Yes. Hey, thank you, City Council, for letting me speak about Intro 1138. I just wanted to say that I'm from Harlem, but I'm currently living in Midtown Manhattan. And I think that daylighting will help keep Harlem people safe, keep Black people safe. And I do believe it is worth losing some parking, if we have to lose parking, to ensure the safety of the younger people, the younger generations, everybody, the older generations, those people. You know, I know Harlem gets left out of a lot of these conversations, but it's very dangerous up there. And in Midtown, it's quite chaotic as well, shockingly chaotic as well. And daylighting would make this better. They tried it in New Jersey. It worked in New Jersey, and they are very car-centric, and daylighting still worked. It worked 100%. They didn't have any traffic deaths. And I think also they will be preventing people from being seriously injured, which will, hurt their, employment chances and their ability to make money. And I think, for people that are vulnerable within the Black community and Latino community and the minority community and the older people, I think daylighting is going to be wonderful for them, keeping them safe. And again, it's worth getting rid of some parking. Yeah, it's so sorry to say. Look, I drive, I take the train, I take the bus, I walk, I bike, whatever. I think we should get this done. Thank you, Julie Wan, for this legislation. Thank you, Eric Botcher, and everybody else.
Time's expired.
Signed on to this. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for your testimony. The next one is Charles Guthrie.
You may begin.
Hello, council members. Thank you for having me. My name is Charlie Guthrie. I live in Park Slope, Brooklyn, and I'm testifying in support of 1138. Universal daylighting at intersections across New York City would be a simple, cost-effective change that would save lives and make our streets safer for everyone. I know parking is already scarce in New York, and you may be reluctant to reduce parking further, but let's not let the car-owning minority compromise the safety of pedestrians, because we're all pedestrians at some point in our day. Personally, I have been hit by a car in a crosswalk because the car couldn't see me. I couldn't see the car when crossing due to a parked car that was right adjacent to the crosswalk. So I know this issue personally and intimately. So please support this universal daylighting proposal to make our intersections safer for everybody. That's all for me.
Thank you. The next one is Baji Chensi.
You may begin.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. My name is Bahish Chansi, and I'm an urban planner at WXY Studio. We are an architecture, urban design, and planning practice based in New York City that works extensively with city agencies, including DOT. I'm here to express our strong support for Intro 1138. Much has already been said at today's hearing about the safety benefits of daylighting, but as planners and designers, we know that safety is just the beginning of what it can offer. Clearing 20 feet in front of crosswalks does not just save lives, it creates the foundation for a better public realm. Daylighting will improve visibility at intersections, which dramatically reduces crashes involving pedestrians, especially children and seniors. But the benefits will go much further. These reclaimed spaces can be designed as high-impact infrastructure in New York City. Green buffers, seating, planters, bike corrals, and rain gardens that make our streets not just safer, but more welcoming and beautiful. Daylighting is also complementary to a host of other city curbside priorities like loading zones, trash containerization, open streets, and outdoor dining. Every corner with daylighting is an opportunity to expand our city's walkability, slow traffic, and carve out public space in the densest city in the country. When implemented thoughtfully, with hard barriers, these zones can become natural extensions of our sidewalk, small plazas that offer refuge, greenery, and clarity in our city's complex streetscape. I've worked closely with the bill's sponsor, Councilmember One, on the One LIC neighborhood planning process, and there, like in many other neighborhoods where I've worked, the safety benefits and public realm benefits that New Yorkers ask for repetitively can really be advanced by the measures of 1138. This bill is a powerful, scalable tool to advance Vision Zero, our city's equity and climate resilience, and it aligns with what we already know, that small changes to street geometry can have outsized impacts on how people move, interact, and feel in their neighborhoods. I thank the council for your leadership on this, and I urge you to pass this bill to help make every
Time's expired.
in New York City safe. Thank you.
Okay. If we have inadvertently missed anyone that has registered to testify today, and has yet to have been called, please use the Zoom hand function if you are testifying remotely, and you will be called in the order that your hand has been raised. If you are testifying in person, please come to the desk. Anyone else in there?
There's one person we have an eye.
Ryan Kreisman.
Ryan, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
So please testify. Go ahead.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the council for having this hearing. I'm a Central Brooklyn resident, community board attendee, youth program and street safety volunteer, and I work for the city in affordable housing. However, the views I express here are my own. One of my earliest memories involved traversing a street as a child, eye level with car doors. Growing up in a place with daylighting, the ends of the blocks were always the safest place to cross as everyone could see each other. Cars generally were a lot shorter, and I quickly grew to the point where I could see over them. But in an age where SUVs have become the standard, it's no longer the case. Even fully grown adults can see over the line of parked cars on each and every block. Common fear for people driving is to not see a child attempting to cross the road, darting out from behind parked cars without sufficient time to react before tragedy occurs that changes the lives of the child, the parents, the family, the driver, everyone involved. Why would we not make a very small change to our streets to ensure that we could all have more advanced warning? I hear people argue that everyone else can have this in our state except for us, because in New York, human life is below state subsidized private vehicle storage. When asked why, they tend to cite that a lot of people have to have cars. However, some of these people, when I follow up with them, have not noticed a few changes over the past years or decades. Primary being ride-hailing apps, which completely have revolutionized experiences with people getting around. Subways are much safer and cleaner than decades ago, when some of these folks that I've talked to kind of abandoned the idea of using them. And micromobility has revolutionized getting around for people that can use it. Finally, everyone is getting things delivered, from milk and eggs to soap and chicken wings. These deliveries are often happening by people on two wheels, piloted by someone vulnerable to a larger car who would benefit from daylighting. This is why I support Intro 1138 to make
Your
universal
time's expired.
daylighting law. Thank you.
Thank you for a testimony. We want to be inclusive, and we want the street to be safe. You're right, Ryan. Thank you. Okay. Was it Patel? Priya Patel, are you on?
Yeah.
Go on. Thank you.
Hi. I just wanted to call in to express support for Intro 1138. I think that I live close to 103rd, which is daylighted right now. I think it's a huge improvement for the street, and I think the entire city deserves that. To ensure that like pedestrians and people who are not in cars are safe from cars, especially as vehicles seem to be getting larger and larger as the years go on. I think that daylighting is imperative. That's it. Thank you.
You done? Thank you. Appreciate your testimony. The next one is Charles Todd.
You may begin.
I will unmute you. Sorry.
Sorry about that. Hi, my name is Charles Todd. I am a member of the Transportation Committee for Community Board 4, who has passed a resolution supporting daylighting along with the full board. I'm speaking today as myself, not representing the board, but we did pass the daylighting resolution along with so many other community boards. I'm a father of two. I walk to our local elementary school here in Hell's Kitchen every day. And I worry about my kids crossing the street. My kid's going to middle school next year. He'll start taking transit himself. He'll take the M11 bus. He's going to have to walk to and from that bus. And the more we can do to daylight our intersections and put planters and bike racks and harden them and make for a safer, more beautiful city, the better. I've lived in New York City for 24 years. I haven't owned a car in 24 years. I moved here because I don't want to own a car. I want to live that walkable city lifestyle, and I love it. I appreciate some people do need cars, but they don't need to park right in the intersection. It'll make it safer for all of us, and it'll give drivers more visibility. So thank you all for your time. I know it's been a long hearing, but I strongly support daylighting.
Thank you for your testimony. The next one is, what? Oh, Families for Safe Streets. Are you on?
You may begin.
Hi.
We can hear
You can go on.
You can't see me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go on.
We can't see you though.
Oh,
I'll promote the panelists, and that should be able to.
Family for Safe Streets. Can you? No? Going once?
Yes, they are on. They're just let me unmute them again.
yeah.
Families for Safe Streets. Yes,
Thank
please.
you. Go on.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Brooks and Powers and members of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee for holding today's hearing. My name is Mirsada Kalanovic, and I'm a member of Families for Safe Streets. This is my first time testifying at a City Council hearing, and I'm here to urge you to support Intro 1138 and universal daylighting in New York City. Families for Safe Streets is an organization made up of people like me who have either lost a loved one or have been injured in a traffic crash. FSS members know that when our streets and intersections are deadly, New Yorkers are the ones who pay the price. I had the dubious honor of joining Families for Safe Streets in 2022 when my 16-year-old sister, Alyssa Kalanovic, was fatally struck by a turning truck driver as she walked to school about a block away from her home in the Bronx. Alyssa loved drawing, spending time with her friends and family. Summers were her favorite season. The intersection of Paulding Avenue and Neal Avenue, where my sister was struck, was known to be a bad corner, where lack of daylighting meant that neither the driver nor my sister were able to see one another until it was too late. Universal daylighting will mean that everyone, no matter how they're getting around, can have the visibility to make everyone in the intersection safe. Alyssa's crash could have been prevented, and I wouldn't have to be here today. If we design streets around people instead of cars, if we use common sense solutions like daylighting at our intersections, we can and will save lives. I urge you to support Intro 1138 and universal daylighting. Thank you for this opportunity to share this testimony and my sister's story with you. And I do want to share a quick picture of her. She's right over here.
She's beautiful. Sorry for your
Thank
loss.
you.
Yes.
Thank
We
you
hear
so much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Last call, anyone online that want to testify, please raise your hand. If anyone in the room. Going once, no one. All right. If we have inadvertently missed anyone that has registered to testify today and has not yet to have been called, please use the Zoom hand function. If you are testifying remotely, and you will be called in order that your hand has been raised. If you are testifying in person, please come to the desk. Going once, seeing none. So now I would like to say thank you to everyone that came out to testify. And yes, we need to keep our city safe while we're looking and listen to everyone. And I'm so impressed by everyone that came out to testify and that stayed from the beginning to the end. I appreciate your time and all the staff that work on today's hearing. I want to say thank you, everyone, from the council to everyone that been here, and of course our Sergeant at Arms. So seeing none, so thank you for being here. Now we close.